Hey guys, welcome in. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Indiana news, politics, and government you're not going to find anywhere else. Coming up here in just a little bit, James Briggs, Indy Star. You know, we talked about that column he had yesterday about data centers, the response to data centers, and basically saying the groupthink, the angry mob, if you will, it's very similar to the sort of thought and actions we saw during what's now being called Woke One. And so Briggs is going to join us. We spent about 20 minutes on that column yesterday. I thought it was very interesting. And so Briggs is going to join us, and we're going to talk about the hysteria around data centers. What's warranted? What isn't? Is there a middle ground? What role do the government and the data center people play in the public's response to data centers? It's going to be a very interesting conversation. And look, you know our position here. Data centers are a necessity in the world we live in going forward. What we're doing right now and have done, all these hours of fabulous entertainment we've brought you over the past 6 months are brought to you by a data center. The way we record a bunch of our interviews, brought to you by a data center. There's so many facets of our existence now that are helping us have better lives because of data centers. It would be hypocritical of almost every single one of us to say no data centers because we all use them in some capacity. That being said, there are major issues with data centers in the state of Indiana, across the country, but we're focused on what's going on here. The incentives are ridiculous and shouldn't exist. The data centers need us more than we need them. The incentives the government is giving away and costing us as taxpayers money are ridiculous. There are major viable concerns surrounding power. Beyond viable, serious concerns about power. There are major viable concerns about water usage. All of these things are viable concerns. Environmental impact. Noise. But they're not things that can't be overcome. There is a world, as somebody who always tries to, when I say find the center, I don't mean ideologically. You guys know I'm very conservative. But when I say find the center, find a world where everybody wins. And in the case of the data centers, I think there's a world where everybody can win. Now, is everybody going to be happy? No, of course not. There's some people who just don't want them no matter what, and that's okay. But the one of the reasons there is such a hysteria around data centers is the government, both government at a federal level and a state level, have refused to lead. They've refused to step up. They've refused to create guardrails, floors, if you will, around the basic guarantees that communities are going to get from data centers. And then ultimately it rests on the data centers who have tried to extract as much as they possibly can, as any other business would do. Any other business would do what the data centers are doing, and they do it. Why wouldn't they? Their goal is to make money. Data centers are not soup kitchens. But the data center people, in their quest to extract as much as they can for themselves and the communities largely be damned, have created this toxic relationship. So they share blame in it as well. We're going to get to all of this with Briggs coming up here in just a little bit. But first, we're going to start with some of the best audio from around the fruited plain, and we begin today right here in Indiana. Secretary of State's race. Obviously, there are several things at play here. Number one, you've got for the first time in a long time, the Democrats having a viable challenger. Somebody who you look at and go, I can see that person winning. The last person I really said that about was Joe Donnelly in 2012 when he became a U.S. Senator. Now, that same year, Glenda Ritz also became the Secretary of Education. But that was a Tony Bennett thing. And there was a lot of stuff that happened with Tony Bennett I don't think people saw coming. Joe Donnelly was a congressman. You looked at Joe Donnelly when he was running against Richard Murdoch, even before the Murdoch moment that handed Donnelly the election. He said, okay, I can see this guy being a senator. I can see a world where he wins the election. It's been 14 years. I don't think you can say that about a single statewide Democrat candidate. Maybe John Gregg in 2016. Although after Pence was out, it sort of seemed inevitable that Gregg wasn't going to win because that was going to be an anti-Pence vote. And so Bo Bai gives the Democrats their first viable, well-funded candidate for statewide office in 14 years. You throw in Greg Ballard being a part of the equation. Nobody really knowing, one, how well he's even going to perform, how many people are actually independent, how many people are actually willing to take the opportunity to send a message to the two parties, and those people that do, where do they come from? Are they primarily Democrats? Are they primarily Republicans? You'd think in a Republican state they're primarily Republicans, but Ballard is likely strongest in Marion and the Donut counties, which have a lot of Democrats. So there's all sorts of intrigue. Of course, the Republican Engling is a complete moron, only there because Diego Morales was so corrupt that the Republicans recognized he was going down. And if anybody wants to challenge me on Engling being a complete moron, explain the $60,000 illegal corporate donation. He's running to be Secretary of State, and we're led to believe he doesn't know he can't accept a donation 12 times above the legal limit. He worked for Kevin McCarthy. He worked for Jim Banks. He's a part of the system. He should know how the rules work, especially the rules of the system he's attempting, to oversee. Some people be like, you should get Engling on your show. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he would want any part of that. And quite frankly, that would be a horrible move if someone allowed him to come on the show. That would be the absolute worst move he could possibly make, would be let him come on the show. Now, if he could hold his own, he'd win a crap ton of votes. Look, I said the same thing about Diego. If Diego, when he was going down, was like, what do you have to lose? You come in, you throw a few haymakers at Rob Kendall, the Republicans probably like you more. But in the case of Engling, they know what he is. Max Engling is there because he will do what the Republicans tell him, and he will ensure that the stuff that Diego did does not come to light. That's why he's there. Period. Full stop. I would be happy to have that conversation with Max Engling anytime, anywhere. And by the way, I would not let him get away with like some people do. Well, we didn't know about the company. We didn't know about the corporation. We didn't know their status. There are some people who say we might have been able to accept it. Oh, bull. It's a total indictment on the media that he's been allowed to get away with that story. There's one person. Well, I asked him the question. Yes, and he lied right to your face, and you didn't push back at all. You get no credit for letting some guy look you right in the eye and lie to you. Zero. None. So there's all sorts of intrigue. Look, if you told me right now, what do you think is going to happen? I would say, unless Ballard and Bai really start bringing some smoke, status quo, and I have no idea. I'm just saying, if you asked me right now, if you said status quo probably prevails. I'm going to get, Abdul's going to join us later. And we got into this a little bit on Statehouse Happenings as well. They had this forum in Hamilton County the other day. And there was no smoke from Bai or Ballard. These guys have got to start showing a pulse on Engling. It's not enough just to do it on Diego. I think Bai is going to run a bunch of stuff on Diego, but you got to bring it on the guy that's in the office because he's there to cover up Diego. Period. And so there's all this sort of intrigue right now about this race. How does Ballard even actually do? Who does he pull from if he does well? Can Bai get enough crossover votes to get him across the finish line? How many Republicans recognize what Engling actually is and what he represents? All of these things are in play, so it does give us a bit of intrigue in the Secretary of State race, but candidly, it's been a boring race so far. Thoroughly disappointed in all of these people. We're to the middle of August, and I haven't seen a a single haymaker fly yet. So all that being said, Bo-Bai was on, I guess it's called MS Now. MS Now used to be MSNBC. And that's right. NBC got embarrassed and they changed the name. So it's MS Now. And he gets asked what I think is a perfectly fair question. And that question was about, which we've talked about, how do moderate, normal Democrats, which I would put Bai in that category, how do moderate, normal Democrats deal with the fact that their party is being overtaken by lunatics? The Al Saids, the Hong chick, the AOC, this woman who won the Senate primary in Florida. They're all over the place now. The maniacs are everywhere. The Democrats are being strangled in fast order by the DSA people. And the Democrats made an egregious mistake a couple of years ago not pushing back on them, allowing them a platform, allowing them the opportunity to grab power because they hated Trump so much. And they felt like we need these people. And now there's a reckoning, right? You've allowed these people to seize some level of power, which grows by the day in your party. How do you deal with them? And it's a very hard question. And it's a question no Democrats want to take on. Bai gets asked this question on MSN or MS Now, whatever it is. He gets asked the question, MS Now. And we're going to play you the whole clip because I saw multiple Republican-aligned groups that played just a fraction of it to try to make Bai look bad. They snipped it, they clipped it, whatever you want to call it, creatively. They wanted to make him look bad. They didn't play the whole answer. We're going to play you the whole answer. Their answer's still not great. The reality is he doesn't want any part of it the same way these other Democrats we've played for you over the past few weeks don't want any part of it. But the fact that the Republicans are selectively clipping this thing and posting it out shows you how afraid of Bai they actually are, which is pathetic. Like, this is the great thing about our show. We can point out all the stuff to you. We're not beholden to anyone. We're only beholden to you. So we can point out all the stuff. We can tell you in the same clip, yeah, not a great answer by Bo-Bai. He does not want to touch it the same way the other people don't want to touch it. But at the same time, we can also tell you it's pathetic that the Republicans have to selectively edit the clip to try to make him look worse. Because the Republicans don't have anything to run on. And you're seeing this across the country. The Republicans are running on, look how bad the Democrats are becoming. And there's a new poll out. I don't think we'll have time to get into it today, maybe tomorrow, that shows the new generic congressional ballot shows Republicans down 8 points to the Democrats. Usually being in power and running against the other guy is a recipe for disaster. Because people are like, well, you've been in power. What have you done for me? What can we talk about? What can you tell me about your resume or your platform or what you've done? Republicans have nothing. There's nothing. So they're running on, and it's not a bad strategy if you have nothing. These people are insane. So let's play the clip, and then we'll get into a little bit. Here is Bo-Bai not wanting any part of addressing the maniacs in the Democrat Party.
Democratic socialists, whether that defines the party these days, does that challenge or make your challenge harder in an otherwise red state, or how do you answer that question?
Thank you so much for having me on, Joe and Peter. I've been singularly focused in this race on speaking about two issues. One, the rampant corruption that has taken hold of my state government. We have statewide elected officials purchasing helicopter pads on the taxpayer dime, hiring their relatives to six-figure salaries. We have a president who has enriched himself to the tune of $2 billion just this past year. Meanwhile, we've started a senseless war in the Middle East. Costs are up. The cost of diesel and fertilizer for farm communities in my state has made it really hard just to get by. Rural hospitals are closing and public schools are not getting the support that they need. That's offensive. That's not what our public servants should be focused on. And so I can only speak to what we're doing here in Indiana, but we're focusing on the issues that matter for working people, not just Democrats, but independents and Republicans too.
Okay, two things. One, other than the school's not getting the money that they deserve or need or whatever he said. There's nothing he really said there that's not true. But he didn't answer the question because he doesn't want any part of the question like most of the Democrats don't, because if you answer it wrong, look, the correct answer is, yeah, we got some squirrels in our party and they're getting a bit of a foothold. And we as moderate, common sense Democrats are pushing back on that. And we cannot let the fringe of our party overtake what we know will work for the American people. That being said, look at the fringe on the other side. Look at the Republicans. What have they done for you? What has the hard wings of their party done? Nothing. So they've got the same issues, and we don't give them a free pass, but we got to deal with our problems in our house as well. Like something like that, right? That's an answer that tells me, okay, you're willing to take on problems. He didn't want any part of it because he knows the maniacs and how they respond if you don't kiss the ring finger. He can't kiss the ring finger. Look, Bai's a really nice guy. He's a smart dude. He's an impressive guy. These people say all these nasty things about Bai, and it's like, I think Bai would be kind of fun to hang out with. Been around him enough. I'm usually pretty good at sniffing these things out. He seems like a pretty okay guy. Doesn't mean I'm going to vote for him. Doesn't mean I'm not going to vote for him. I'm an undecided voter. So he's not a rotten, evil dude. You can say whatever you want about what family he was born into. The guy chose to wear the uniform. It's pretty hard, whether it's Buttigieg or Bai or the mayor of Terre Haute, Sackbun, or even Destiny Wells. There's all sorts of things you can criticize these guys on. But any person that's willing to wear the uniform, that deserves respect. And I think the Republicans make a huge mistake when they do this silver spoon in his mouth, blah, blah, blah. Because a bunch of people saying that never did the thing that Bai did. Doesn't make you better because you're in the military, but it deserves respect. I think it tells you a lot about the person. All of that being said, he's going to have to address the maniacs whether he wants to or not, because that's what the Republicans are going to run on. The Republicans in this state have nothing to run on. Record property taxes. Everybody's pissed off about that. Record utility bills. Everybody's pissed off about that. Brazen corruption, both in the Secretary of State's office and across state government. The Republicans can't run on anything, so they got to run against you. The best thing for him to do would be just bite the bullet and say, look, there's some wackos in our party, just like there's some wackos in the Republican Party. We're not about them. Here's the things we're about. Those guys are going to do what they're going to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm running for Indiana. If you don't acknowledge that the crazies exist, the Republicans are going to be able to align you with the crazy people. All right. Mike Lawler, Republican, New York. He was on Fox Business, and he, keeping in this conversation going, he said the obvious. And that is that the guys who are supposed to be in charge of the Democrat Party, Chuck Schumer in the Senate, Hakeem Jeffries in the House, they don't run the Democrat Party anymore. The maniacs have taken over, so are their policies. Take a listen.
Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are not the leaders of the Democratic Party. They have no message. They have no plan. Bernie Sanders, AOC, Zohran Mamdani, and their radical band of nitwits have seized control of the Democratic Party, the message, and the policy agenda. I mean, think back to 2016. The things that Bernie Sanders was running on is now the mainstream view within the Democratic Party. So that speaks volumes to where the Democratic Party is today. But the vast majority of Americans are not there.
He's right for now, but I don't know how much longer. He's right for now that the majority of Americans still reject the views of the crazy people. But the number keeps rising on the people that are turning to it or at least willing to accept it or engage with it. And the real interesting thing is going to be, will the American public hold the Democrat Party accountable in swing states for maniacs that are not the candidates running in front of them. Like you look at Al Said in Michigan. Now, the Hong chick lost the primary, but she was all over the place. The chick in Florida, all of these people, they're going to get this big attention. You've got, the elected people, Bernie Sanders, AOC, all those people. If you've got a congressman in a swing district or a candidate for Congress running away from or on a different set of stuff than those people, will the American people vote against that Democrat, recognizing who's taking over the Democrat Party and who you're putting in power? It's going to be a fascinating year because every historical data point tells you the Democrats should clean up. Now, they're starting to elevate, as we said in the polls. You're starting to see the generic ballot move more towards the Democrats because the Republicans have been so bad. But are the Democrats putting so many ridiculous people who are totally outside the mainstream in positions of power and influence that the American people reject that? I don't know. All right, fascinating find here. Let's come back locally. By the way, it's the Rob Kendall Show. Indiana news, politics, and government you're not going to find anywhere else. Let's bring it back local. This is a fascinating find from our old pal, Indy reporter, Stephen Whitmer. We have him on our show every so often at Indy_reporter_ on Twitter. The guy lives in government documents, government videos. If you're into Indiana news, politics, and government, our old pal, Indy reporter, he's good to follow, Indy_reporter_ on Twitter. All right, so he found this. This is from last week. This is a Public Works Committee meeting with the Department of Public Works. So the Indianapolis City County Council, they've got a committee, and the Public Works Committee that oversees, projects, spending related to the Department of Public Works. And you're going to hear this because, remember, we have been told over and over and over again that there was no money without horrible cuts to fund the road project in Indianapolis in order to get the state's matching grant. Remember, the city had to come up with $50 million to get the state's $50 million. The mayor of Indianapolis, as much as we despise Joe Hogsett, clearly said, we have the money. You don't have to raise these wheel taxes. Remember, they went from $20 to $100. It was a massive tax increase. He said, you guys don't have to do this. I've found the money in the budget. We'll be fine. The Democrats on the city county council said, we don't care. And they voted to raise taxes a massive hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars over the next several years on Indianapolis residents. So our old pal, Indy reporter, found this from last week. It's Department of Public Works appearing in front of the Public Works Committee. And you're going to hear Republican Counselor Brian Mowry. He asked the DPW, it appears you have the $50 million for the road match already in your budget. It's already in the budget, as laid out by Hogsett, without a tax increase. You'll hear the DPW guy say, yes, which proves, as we said and others said, the tax increase was absolutely not necessary. The city county council, the Democrats, chose to do it, which leads me to believe there's only one of two options here. Either they're incredibly lazy and didn't do any research, or they're evil. If there's a third option, let me know. Because the DPW guy's saying right here, we already had the money in the budget to make the $50 match or $50 million match. We did not need to raise taxes. Then the best part's at the end. The committee chair, I think her name is Kristen Jones. She tries to shut the whole conversation down because she realizes how bad it's looking, and Mowry isn't having any of it. Take a listen, guys.
What we see here, and I want to make sure this is evidently clear for the folks watching at home and people that are going to watch this later. You have a plan laid out here that does not include any kind of tax hike to be able to receive the match from the state?
Yeah, Counselor, the DPW capital plan includes these sources of revenues and anticipates, these sources being provided to the capital program and securing that $50 million annually.
And we could have satisfied the match requirements with this plan here alone.
again, I don't really want to opine on the particulars of the tax policy debate that's been ongoing, but what you're saying is correct. The DPW capital plan includes these matching dollars and the $50 million of the state.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Was this part of like the mayor's plan, or was this kind of, or you guys had this worked out before the mayor? I'm just curious where that came, because I was curious if the mayor had, because I never really got a clear answer on his plan.
This is the administration's funding plan for meeting the matching requirement.
And we, to make it clear, we made the vote on Monday, less than 72 hours ago, and they didn't, that's 72 hours ago, and they're doing the presentation on Thursday. So we can have a deeper dive on the funding at another time.
I appreciate it, Madam Chair. I have the floor, though. Thank you.
She didn't want any part of that because she knew how bad it was looking. They didn't have to do this. They chose to do this. They are sticking it to the residents of Marion County, to the people of Indianapolis. And it was completely needless. They're doing it by choice. They didn't have to vote on Monday. They chose to vote on Monday. That was their, wow, this guy's coming on a Thursday. Oh, you couldn't have gotten this information ahead of time? You mean there's no world you could have known before 3 days after your vote? Get out of here. But I come back to sort of a reoccurring theme for the city of Indianapolis. And you guys know we've talked about this for years. You get the government you deserve. I mean, we thought, remember this, 2020. I remember thinking, okay, they shut everything down needlessly. They allowed this downtown to get rioted, looted, people died. Surely you're going to see the community stand up and reject this. No, all these people kept getting elected. Democrats keep running the city. You would think public would hear this, public would see this, public would know about this and know these people are now just basically stealing $80 extra a month from me or a year from me for no reason. I'm going to do something about it. And yet you also would have thought, well, they let the city burn to the ground. Monument Circle got defaced. People died. We should do something about this. They never do. They never do. But I think it's pretty definitive right there. Everything that we had been saying. And it goes back to the conversation we had yesterday with Glenn Adams. This wheel tax thing and this road funding law is a disaster. It's a nightmare. It's so convoluted, as Glenn Adams laid out yesterday from the Brownsburg Town Council. They've been trying to do their own research and talk to these people at the Statehouse, and the lawmakers don't even agree with the policymakers who wrote the law. The lawmakers who voted on the law don't even agree with the policymakers who wrote the law. It's a complete disaster, and this rests at the feet of the Indiana Republicans. Because if they didn't want tax increases to fund that match from the city of Indianapolis, they should have specifically said it. And they could have. They could have said this has to come from existing money. It cannot come from tax increases. They didn't. And I don't believe, even as bad as they are, that they're that stupid to not know what Indianapolis Democrats were going to do when presented with the option and the opportunity. All right, let's move over to Trump. Man, Trump should just stop talking. It is getting bad, guys. So the United States canceled these massive military exercises we do with South Korea. And for years, well, basically 70 years now or more, South Korea has been aligned with the United States. You remember the Korean War? A lot of U.S. soldiers went over there, fought, died. And out of that, you got the division between North and South Korea that exists to this day. And the U.S. has always been on the side of South Korea because the North Koreans are a bunch of communist lunatics. The same family has run them for generations. Kim Jong-un, now the head lunatic. And for some reason, Trump decided, out of the blue to a lot of people, we're just not going to do these exercises with South Korea. So he gets asked about this. And I did not have this on my bingo card, guys, but it's Trump, so you don't even have a bingo card anymore, right? He gets asked about why he did this. And he says, guys, he likes Kim Jong-un. And then he said he's pissed off because the South Korea didn't do enough to help with Iran. This is nuts. This guy, Trump, came out in defense of Kim Jong-un, which is crazy. Take a listen to this.
You said North Korea has something like 57 nuclear weapons. They've been expanding their nuclear program. Is your goal in trying to re-engage with Chairman Kim still denuclearization? And what makes you think you could be successful now when you weren't?
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but I do have a good relationship with Kim Jong-un. As you know, you've seen. He didn't like Biden. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like anybody, but he likes me, and I just got along with him very good. We had great meetings. We speak, and I think our nation, and I think other nations, frankly, whether it's Japan or South Korea, they're a lot safer if I'm president than if somebody else is president. Now, I didn't like the fact that we're doing these massive military exercises, really against North Korea. It was an exercise against North Korea. When I'm friendly with him, when we have, I don't see anything happening for certainly 2.5 years. It's not going to happen with me, but I don't see anything happening. And I was not happy when South Korea said, no, they're not interested in helping us with the Hormuz Strait, and yet they get 60% of their oil from the Hormuz Strait. I said, would you like to help us? He said, no, thank you. I said, that's nice, please, thank you. He made us a lot of money. I didn't like that. So I felt that we were doing a massive war exercise. I thought that was very insulting to somebody that, frankly, has been, during my term at least, very well behaved.
Very well behaved. He's a murderous, lunatic, thug dictator who starves his people, who tortures his people, he kills his people, and Trump's like, he's very well behaved. He's been a good boy. He was raised by some nutty parents, but he's been very good. What planet are we living on? It's one thing to say, look, we got to deal with the guy. He's there. Let's try to, hem him in, keep him in, whatever. But to praise this complete psychopath and then tells the South Koreans, well, in order for us to do any sort of military exercises, which we have a vested interest in South Korea, which is why we fought the damn war to begin with, to be like, well, you didn't do exactly what we wanted with Iran. You know why they didn't do what you wanted with Iran? Because it was a horrible idea, as you're finding out. As you're finding out, sir, everything you've done with Iran has been a horrible idea. And maybe, just maybe, the South Koreans were smart enough to go, I don't really want to get involved with these nutbags. We're okay over here. We've got enough problems with our own lunatic right across the border. We'll stay focused on him. Thanks. Unbelievable, the glowing praise for Kim Jong-un. He's been very well behaved. Sir, people are still being starved, they're being executed, they're being tortured, they're being murdered. That was crazy. All right, one more piece of audio, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay. This was fabulous. This clip is a fabulous guy's insight into how genuinely stupid some people on the left are, especially the celebrity people. Like how uninformed they are and why anybody would listen to any of these people. I'm not talking about you disagree with their beliefs. I'm talking about how little they know about anything. Like they have no idea what's going on. So David Cross is a pretty famous comedian and actor. He's been in a whole bunch of stuff. I know him as the guy who played Tobias Funke in Arrested Development. But he's like tons and tons and tons of stuff. Never sort of like the leading guy, always just a guy that's, a supporting actor, comedian, whatever. He's on Bill Maher's podcast. And he starts talking about how much he loves Mamdani. And Maher starts pressing him about the people in Mamdani's administration that are actually calling the shots and who these people are and what they represent. And the things they've said and the things they believe and the things they're trying to enact. And this guy, David Cross, he has no idea whatsoever. Absolutely none. Take a listen to this.
I mean, I'm politically more Democrat socialist. I believe.
You're socialist. Again, I think you're plainly then you're to the left of me if you even say you're a socialist.
Well, I said democratic socialist.
I know, but I know what a democratic socialist is. That's Mamdani. who's a straight up communist.
No, he's not.
Okay,
no, he's not.
Okay, he has someone working.
Bill. Yeah, all right.
He is, first of all.
Okay.
He has someone working for him named Sia Weaver.
Okay.
Have you read about her?
I have not.
See, that means you're in a bubble.
Okay.
Because you should have.
Okay.
Okay,
so
let me tell you who she is. She's
edify
like,
me.
She's like one of his top lieutenants. His big issue was the rent's too high.
Mm-hmm.
She's the head of, like, we're going to fix housing.
Mm-hmm.
This is like what got him elected. He has not disavowed her, and I could show you all her tweets that she's put out over the last few years in quotes. And one of them is, elect more communists.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have to read between the lines if somebody he stands with and by is saying, and also her other quotes are like, all home ownership is racist.
Well, that's
Even
ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, I have an issue with that thing that she said. I don't know this woman. I will definitely look her up. I'm a fan of Mamdani's. I'm a fan of,
He knows nothing. He knows nothing about the guy. He knows nothing about what he stands for. I mean, Maher is a liberal. This is not like it's some conservative taking this guy to the woodshed. It's a fellow liberal who's like, dude, the guy is a communist. He's surrounded by communists. His views are communist. The things he's trying to do are communist. And this dude has no idea. When you listen to these celebrities, I know you guys don't because you're very smart. You listen to this program. But when these people, and I'm no celebrity, that's for sure. But when people listen to these celebrities, they have no idea what they're talking about. Absolutely none. That guy got depantsed by a fellow liberal. Stop listening to the celebrities. Hey guys, AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning takes incredible pride in cleaning homes and businesses. In fact, here's how the whole business started. About 6 years ago, Amber, the owner, she was managing one of the big cleaning services, and she got really upset that the employees didn't seem to care about the details. So she started her own business. Amber would love to bring her attention to detail and love of a clean place to your home or business. AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning services all of Central Indiana. When you use AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning, you're going to see and smell the difference. Call today and mention you heard about AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning on the Rob Kendall Show. You're going to get an incredible $50 off your first clean. A clean house, $50 cheaper. AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning, 317-530-8148, 317-530-8148. Help us grow the Rob Kendall Show, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Whatever platform you're watching us on, like it. If it's YouTube, give us that thumbs up. If you're watching us live or on demand, don't forget, for those of you listening to us in northwestern Indiana, the region, WJOB Radio, welcome. You know, we got 3 hours of this. If you're enjoying it on WJOB, we are live each day, 9 until noon Eastern time. So if you're watching us live on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. If you're watching us on demand on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. If you're an Apple, Spotify, iHeart person, that 5-star review, that is great as well. Share the feed out. Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're at. Share the feed. You're watching us on YouTube or you're on the Apple, Spotify, iHeart, on demand. Share that feed out. Our growth is organic. We're dependent upon you. And last but certainly not least, subscribe to us, whatever platforms you're watching or listening to us on. Like, share, and subscribe. That's how you can help us grow the Rob Kendall Show. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Braun admitted yesterday, that whole redistricting thing, I really wasn't all that serious about it. That was just a Trump thing. Yeah. You won't believe what the governor said about redistricting. We'll tell you about it when we come back. You're watching the Rob Kendall Show. Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
DC politicians don't care. Buying stocks with insider information, they get filthy rich. But if you did it, you'd get locked up. Thankfully, there's one fighter on our side. Senator Todd Young is pushing to ban all congressional stock trading forever. He's never traded a single stock while in Congress. Young's a Marine who does the right thing. Contact Senator Todd Young. Thank him for standing up for us and for fighting to ban congressional stock trading.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show, Indiana news, politics, and government. You're not going to find anywhere else. We got to talk about Braun and redistricting here in a moment because he basically said yesterday, we really wasn't all that serious about it. But first, Anthony Gary, he owns Indy Dwell Real Estate, and he doesn't just list homes for sale. He gets them noticed, he gets them shown, and he gets them sold without you losing sleep or sanity. With Anthony, he's trained with some of the top negotiators on earth and is ready to help you achieve your real estate goals. Put Anthony's expert selling strategy and experience to work for you. Call or text Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate, 317-756-1159, 317-756-1159. Okay, so the Indiana Capital Chronicle had an article yesterday about the governor of Indiana, and he got asked about Chris Garton being named the new head of the Senate. We told you yesterday the Republicans voted to make Chris Garton the head of the Senate. All the conservatives are super excited, and I think they're going to end up being super disappointed because speeches don't do anything. And Chris Garton, he gives some nice speeches. His actual voting record, basically the same as Rod Bray. Couple differences, but basically the same. And Braun got asked about Garton leading the Senate. And of course, Garton was elevated because during redistricting, he gives this great speech about the need to redistrict, and everybody's like, oh, he's amazing. It was a good speech. If you were for redistricting, you probably loved it. But I'm going to tell you right now, in terms of what people actually give a damn about, that is property taxes, utility bills, brazen corruption in the state government and cleaning it up, Medicaid, which was a complete debacle. Garton's been on the wrong side of a lot of this stuff. And the vote is what matters more than the speech. And people care a lot more about public education, good education, period, whether it's public or not, property taxes, utility bills, their money being abused in the government, a lot more than they cared about redistricting. And so Braun, now you would seemingly think there's some sort of synergy between Garton and Braun because Braun helped fund in the primaries a lot of these candidates that ran against the candidates or the incumbents who voted against redistricting. And so Braun gets asked about Garton, and the Capital Chronicle had an article about this. There was some really interesting stuff. Braun always is a gift that keeps on giving because he talks too much. And here's what the Capital Chronicle wrote, and it's proof that redistricting was never about you. And it's not actually about it being good public policy to Braun. It was about being subservient to Trump. Now, what I can't figure out, and no one will answer for me, and I asked this question after the storms and the flooding, I thought Braun said, and Micah Beckwith, who's lieutenant governor, backed it up before he deleted the tweet, because that's what Beckwith does. He's delete tweet guy. But I thought they both said that the federal government said there were going to be these huge ramifications if we didn't redistrict. I thought there were supposed to be all of these punishments if we didn't redistrict. What are the punishments? We've heard of the federal government's being very receptive, whatever, on the storms. We've seen all of these federal things coming into our state. What is the supposed punishment? Could it have been the punishment was maybe you're not going to get billions of dollars for special permitting or rubber stamping on, theoretically a road that might run through Southwest Indiana that conveniently would be beneficial to the trucking and transportation industry, which the governor might be in? Is that what we aren't going to get? What is the thing that the federal government, the Braun and Mike have never clarified what that is, even though they both admitted or both said or both claimed that they were told there was going to be punishment by the federal government. Braun didn't redistrict because he believes in redistricting. He doesn't care at all about that. Braun was in on redistricting and called a special session, which he won't do for you on property taxes. He won't do for you on the gas tax. He won't do for you on utility bills because he didn't want to make Trump mad. And he had essentially admitted that yesterday. From the Capitol Chronicle, Governor Mike Braun on Wednesday praised the selection of Chris Garton as the likely next leader of the Indiana Senate, with President Donald Trump celebrating the pick as completing his political retribution campaign. Think about that. The President of the United States is on social media. You've got the Ron stuff, skyrocketing gas prices, inflation still ridiculous, affordability's out of control, all of these things. And our president is on social media bragging about a political retribution campaign for local offices in Indiana. That is bizarre. Capitol Chronicle goes on to write, Braun, however, said he has priorities for next year's legislative session ahead of the congressional redistricting fight that has upended the state Senate's leadership. So, property taxes weren't important enough for a veto in special session. Gas taxes aren't important enough for a special session. Utility bills aren't important enough for a special session. But redistricting was. However, now, because after this year it won't affect Trump anymore, Braun all of a sudden says, well, I got other things to worry about. Well, but wait a second. There's going to be more congressional elections in 2028. Indiana still has an opportunity, if indeed it's such a pressing issue, to redraw these maps. And unlike before, it wouldn't cost us a dime because they're going to be in session. You would think if it were actually a top priority to the point you had to spend hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars to have or more to have a special session, it was that big of a pressing issue that the governor would be like, absolutely, I hope these guys learned their lesson. I hope they saw the might that we have. Top issue when you guys get back next year. Let's stamp it. We've got the Supreme Court ruling that makes it easier to do it now. Let's redistrict and get this thing done. Let's have that done by January. Braun's response is, I got other things to worry about. It was so important you had to call the special session, but now, nothing. Why? Because Braun is going to be on the ballot in 2028 and Trump won't be. And deep down, Braun knows, and the rest of those guys know, the public was not overwhelmingly in favor of redistricting. It wasn't a needle, polling showed this over and over and over again. It wasn't a needle mover either way. Some people were against it. Some people were for it. But the overwhelming majority of people are like, I don't care. If it was, he being Braun, would totally be all over it. He's got the session, the regular session. He's got all these new members who came in, who ran, who won on redistricting. supposedly. Now, those of us with common sense dispute that, but that's their narrative. And it's such a pressing issue that you had to call a special session. And Indiana will not have redistricted through the natural cycle by 2028. How could you not be demanding that that be your first order of business if you actually believed in the importance of redistricting? Capitol Chronicle writes, Braun worked in support of last year's redistricting plan, but indicated Wednesday that it was not a priority for him going into the next year. Quote, that'll be up to the legislature to see if they want to take that on or focus on policy. Well, the logical response to that was the legislature told you last winter they didn't want to take it on. Rod Bray told you repeatedly the votes weren't there. And yet the governor called a special session because it was so important. Quote, I think there are too many other issues that I've talked about that state government needs to get moving on, to keep moving in the right direction, Braun said Wednesday. There's a lot of congealing now. And with the good news in the Senate leadership, that sets the stage for an unbelievable session of getting things done for Hoosiers. What will that be? What are you going to get done for Hoosiers? We are in August. Any major change to public policy, you got to start selling months ago. What major policy proposals, policy changes related to property taxes or utility bills or addressing brazen corruption in our government has Braun put forth, or has Garton put forth, or has any leadership in the House put forth that has gained any sort of momentum saying we're going to do this? Let's go out and sell it to the people of Indiana. Bueller? Nothing. That's the answer. They haven't promoted any of this stuff on any of these key issues that people are actually upset about, which you would be doing because Org Day is in November. And Org Day is when this House and Senate leadership lay out their priorities. They lay out the top things we're going to accomplish this legislative session. September, October, you basically got 2.5, maybe 3 months. Braun was never serious about redistricting. He didn't do it because he was passionate about it. He didn't do it, that special session, because he wanted it or believed it was going to forever better change Indiana. He did it because he was subservient to Trump. He didn't want to piss Trump off. And the big question you have to be asking yourself now is why? And why, if it's such a big deal, does Braun not want to have it as an issue for him when he's on the ballot in 2028? Guys, let's tell you about our friends at Bramwell Mackay. They've been with us from the beginning. They're one of our great sponsors. You guys got a leaky chimney, water in the basement, cracks around the exterior of your home. Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants is your authority for chimney repair, tuck pointing, foundation repair, crawl space to basement conversions, basement waterproofing, and more. Bramwell Mackay doesn't offer quick patches. Their team of 40-year master masons and industry experts address the root cause and provide solutions that last lifetimes. Your home is one of your biggest investments. Treat it that way. Bramwell Mackay, your masonry, foundation, and chimney specialist. All right, real quick here. If you're an anti-flock camera person, you got a feather in your cap yesterday. From the Indy Star. The Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department announced on August 13th that an officer was under criminal investigation because he used automated license plate readers for, quote, personal reasons. This is one of the major concerns, and it is a valid concern of the people that are against the flock cameras. Law enforcement abusing the system. The officer came forward to his supervisor and admitted misusing the technology on August 6th. The department immediately revoked his police powers and equipment as it conducted an internal investigation, according to IMPD Chief Tanya Terry. Terry said once the full extent of the misuse became clear, she recommended the officer's termination, and the department made a public announcement. This is the sort of stuff that feeds the mass opposition to the flock cameras. Now, we've had this conversation before. It's a public street. I think you struggle to say you have some sort of privacy expectation to be given to you on a public street. This is not in your home. This is not in your business. It is you traveling on a public street using an automobile that you are granted permission to use by the government. That's what a license plate is, right? It's a permission to drive by the government. That's what your driver's license is. And the streets, that at least the ones that are maintained by the public, the taxpayer. So I think you struggle to, or would struggle in a court of law to say you have a right to privacy on a public street. However, one of the things that is of immense valid concern is the abuse of the system by law enforcement. And as the Indy Star has proven here again, and IMPD has admitted, it is happening. And this is not the first instance of this. And so it is totally right to say we've got to get severe penalties on people in law enforcement who in any way manipulate or abuse this system. Because it's designed to catch criminals. After a crime has been committed, to catch dangerous, violent offenders. On August 14th, the Indy Star requested a list of all IMPD officers currently suspended or placed on administrative duty. The department had not fulfilled the request by time of publication. Terry said that the officer made, quote, hundreds of searches for a select few license plates, but Terry declined to answer who the officer was tracking. That's the other part of it. When this comes to light, an immediate full disclosure has to take place, in addition to severe punishments of any member of law enforcement who even remotely abuses the system. Under Indiana law, a public servant who, quote, commits an offense in the performance of the public servant's official duties can be charged with official misconduct, a level 6 felony. The stalking statute says simply that, quote, a person who stalks another person commits stalking. Allow myself to introduce myself. Although certain aggravated factors like a threat or the use of a weapon can elevate the charge to a more serious felony. This should be one issue our state is taking up this upcoming session. Heightening the punishment for any law enforcement officer or official who abuses these flock cameras for personal benefit or desire. If we're going to have them, which, as I've said before, I can see both sides of this argument. I think it's irrefutable. It helps law enforcement catch people who commit crimes. Like I said, I watched that Koberger documentary that was on Netflix. It took them forever to put together that automobile because they had to go from one essentially door or business camera to the next and finally be able to find a camera good enough to get a shot good enough of the car. They didn't have the license plate, but they finally got the car, the make and model of the car. It took forever. It used all sorts of law enforcement resources, and it took forever. With a flock camera, they could have caught it pretty quick. But when you read stuff like this, it gives 100% credibility to any person pushing back against flock cameras as they exist today. Absolute credibility to those people because it appears the system was immensely abused. Eyes Off Indiana, a nonprofit advocating for legal limits on the technology, is asking for the state legislature to make personal use of ALPR data a crime. The organization also wants to ban selling all ALPR data, allow localities to reject the cameras entirely, and require more transparency. Absolutely. 100%, nothing unreasonable about that. If we are going to say that these flock cameras can exist, there should be very, very strict regulations around them, and anyone caught abusing them should absolutely be severely, severely punished. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, James Briggs from the Indy Star is going to be with us. He has that new column we talked about yesterday about what he calls basically hysteria around data centers. And I've long made the case that data centers can be a great positive for our society and for our state. But they should not be going forward until we have just like with the flock cameras, very strict rules, very strict regulations, and very clear benefits spelled out to communities. We're going to have a spirited discussion about the data centers with Indy Star columnist James Briggs. When we come back, you're watching the Rob Kendall Show.
I'm Anthony Gary. I started Indy Dwell Real Estate because too many friends, family members, and neighbors had real estate experiences that lacked compassion, explanation, and expertise. You deserve someone in your corner with the heart of a teacher, simplifying every step of the buying or selling process. When you hire me, you get me. Start to finish, you'll never be handed off. No stress, no surprises, just the expert guidance and results you deserve. Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate. Call or text 317-756-1159. 317-756-1159.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
With a lakefront view in beautiful Brazil, the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage is a little out of the way, but totally worth the trip. Down home, made from scratch food, just like the good old days at Grandma's. When you visit the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage, you'll leave more at peace than when you came in. Open 5 to 8 for dinner on Friday and Saturday, and Sundays 11 to 1:30 for the buffet. You must experience the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage. Call 812-443-3003. 812-443-3003. Welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Are we overreacting to the data centers? Our next guest says yes. We talked about this column yesterday. I think it's super interesting. James Briggs joins us now. His column, Data Center Hysteria is the New Woke. James Briggs, hello.
Hello.
All right. You started the column, and I said this yesterday. Any person who starts with, I was wrong, I'm interested in. And you started out by saying, you missed some things during COVID. You got some things wrong. Let's start with that before we get to the data centers. Why did you start there? And how did that help you in trying to come to some sort of conclusion on the data centers?
Yeah, I mean, I think I bought into some of the ideas of the woke era. One thing I mentioned specifically, and I think this is probably in hindsight, the column that I am probably most embarrassed by during my time at Indy Star as I've thought about it. But I wrote a column in the aftermath of the rioting in 2020. And looking back on it, it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but it was fairly sympathetic to the rioters and the property damage. And I tried to sort of justify it to some extent. And that is just obviously ridiculous. And even at the time, I don't think that fit my values at the time. I think if people commit crimes, they should be arrested. That's something I would have told you then. So I think that's a very clear example of me having bought into sort of the, I use this word with data centers, but I think it applies to that period too, sort of the hysteria of the moment where everyone is sort of on edge over police conduct. And I think, there were some justifications for that. But then I think also racial justice issues were really big in that moment. And again, there's some justification for all of that. And I certainly wouldn't say I regret a lot of things that I wrote, but I think that case you just can't extend racial justice to rioting is good. And I sort of did that in a column. So those are the kinds of things that I'm pointing to when I said I got some things wrong during that period.
Yeah, it's like we had a little, not a formal pool, but at the radio station at the time, who's the most likely to say something to get himself fired? Kendall was the winner, right? And somehow I didn't make it to the day, but I made it out of that period. Why was everybody so petrified to say stuff, to talk, to have views? Why did so many minds get, I don't know if manipulated is the right word, but why was the groupthink so strong during COVID, the riots, the BLM, all of that stuff?
I mean, cancel culture was real. And that's something I think I even would have said at the time. Like, I think people who sort of denied it existed and said it was just like consequences for being a racist or whatever. I think that's ridiculous. I think cancel culture existed, but even worse than that, I think there were a lot of institutions, from employers, nonprofits and higher ed institutions. They were willing to enforce it. So like the online mobs had a lot of influence over decisions that were being made with regards to people's careers and their employability. And so if you misstepped by saying something that didn't fit the vibes of the moment, you really did face career risks at that time. And certainly no one was more aware of that than people in media. It's actually one reason a few months ago when people were getting fired over saying certain things about Charlie Kirk. I don't think people should get fired over that, but I also think if you are someone in 2026 not without some awareness that saying things can lead to consequences, I think you've kind of you've underestimated the internet. So there should be like awareness of that. But again, I think that there was so much overreach and so much excess. People should not have been getting fired about just not saying the perfectly correct, whatever like the politically correct statements of the moment were. And you did see a lot of that. There were a lot of people in fear of saying the wrong thing, as you just said.
Boy, like where I'm at now, unless you can get to Mr. YouTube or Apple or Spotify or iHeart, I think we're okay here now, right?
I want to put out one example of that time. Like I lived in Carmel at the time, and just saying you lived in Carmel was enough to get canceled. I was constantly getting attacked by people who would say I was racist because I lived in Carmel and said nice things about Carmel. Like that is what that moment was like. And I did push back on a lot of that. So I wouldn't say that I regret everything during that period. I thought it was absolutely insane that we were willing to write off an entire city of residents as racist because they chose to live in Carmel. That was absolutely insane. And those are the kinds of things that were just happening during that period.
Now, in fairness, I've written off Carmel for years, but not to think racist. I just don't like I don't like the fake people on the street. All right, so let's get to the column that you wrote about how the hysteria over data centers is the new woke. What do you mean by that? Walk us through the column.
Yeah, so what we just talked about a little bit was a period where people were afraid to say the wrong thing, and they were afraid to say the wrong thing because people were willing to punish those who did, either socially or they would just yell at you or whatever, or there would be actual like some kind of consequences. I think we're kind of there with data centers. I mean, like people, from if you say out loud and in any sort of mixed company that data centers might be good, people will yell at you. If you are in a position of influence and you support data centers in a very tangible way, someone might shoot your house. Like it is insane right now, the way that people are exercised over this issue, and the intensity just so far outstrips the facts. And I think that's also where we were in Woke 1.0, is there were a lot of ideas that felt culturally appropriate in the moment because we were all trying to be sensitive. And again, I would absolutely support sensitivity. I think being sensitive to people's identities and how they feel, like it's absolutely something that, all good people should do. But the expectations of that moment went way beyond that to trying to affect the lives of people who overstepped in ways that were not, didn't align to that moment. And I think you're seeing that with data centers too. I think there are people trying to enforce consequences on anyone who dares say that data centers are okay. And it's silly because we can argue about data centers. And if you hate data centers, I will say that's a legitimate view, but I think it's wrong. I think there's evidence. One, we need data centers. We're in a world that we are all using products that run on, run on the compute that comes from data centers. We need them. And so we need to build more of them. And we should be talking more about where they go rather than just whether they have a right to exist or not.
I love this column because you basically said I was right during COVID. And then you exempted me from the insanity because your description of what's reasonable is mine. I think the public's getting taken for a ride with the incentives. I don't think we're having an honest conversation about natural resources and power. And you've said, hey, we need to have those conversations. That's okay to be concerned about those things.
Yeah, the problem is that there's this position and it's so loud and it's so influential, and like politicians are afraid of their own shadow on data centers right now. The position is no data centers ever anywhere. You can't build a data center. That is like the position that a lot of people have. And there is so much mobilization on this issue. And that's kind of similar again to sort of like the woke era from 2020. There is so much mobilization, so much political organization on this that people who have power are afraid to deviate from where the masses are on this issue. And so even those who we've elected to supposedly lead us, they're afraid to have the real conversations should we subsidize data centers? Well, no, right now, like just letting someone build a data center is like subsidizing it enough right now. Like that's all the subsidy they need. Like, yes, you can build one. That's like a gift to a data center developer right now. But instead, and Jacob Stewart for IndyStar wrote this, that it's sort of a cop out now to do these moratoriums because that's letting everyone off the hook. And I think there's a hope there that like these tensions just sort of fall over the coming months, and maybe there's a period that we can get to where it's safe. Like maybe we have to put a blanket over our heads though, and like talk about like, hey, how should we allow a data center? Like maybe someday we'll get to that point, but right now, like there's all the energy is just like moratorium. Let's just not do anything with this issue.
Yeah, look, I have a job right now because of data centers. That's why I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. My issue is, and why I want to get your perspective of why you think this is. The state will not lead on this issue. The state will not set guardrails. They won't get everybody in a room together. Braun won't lead on coming up with basic requirements. I think the data center moratorium is maybe the only way to force the state to do this, not because I don't want data centers, but because I'm so disappointed in my state leaders and of the federal leaders to some extent too. Leading on this doesn't make you pro data center, but nobody's even willing to talk about it.
I do think that's a consequence of the things that we've been talking about so far. There is a lot of genuine fear from anyone in political leadership or government leadership, and that fear is not accidental. It has been imposed upon anyone in any level of leadership because the opposition is so strong and it's so bipartisan. Even I think I would describe the position that you cannot build data centers anywhere. I would describe that as a very left-wing position and a left-wing view of property rights. Like you are saying that an entire type of real estate is illegitimate, but it is so pervasive right now that a lot of conservatives are on board with that too. And you saw that in Indianapolis. The vote was bipartisan to have a moratorium. And so right now it is so close to unanimous right now that politicians are, and people who work in government but are not elected, they're just afraid to do anything on this issue because there's just so much overwhelming sentiment and also passion and in some cases violence around this issue.
You laid out the metro blocks, which is very interesting because that's an area. This area where the metro blocks want to go in Indianapolis needs help, like serious help and revitalization. You make the case, hey, it gives that. And yet there's this overwhelming opposition. What do you think needs to happen to get people okay with the data centers? Or is there anything we can do to get people okay with the data centers?
I don't know. Honestly, like right now, they're so unpopular. I don't know what the way out from that is. And again, you drive through my neighborhood, and it's almost every other house has an anti-data center sign out there. By the way, one of the debates we need to have is whether it's data or data. I think that's like a side conversation we should be having because we keep using different pronunciations. But anyway, yeah, my neighborhood is almost universally opposed. In this example, in Irvington, the east side of Indianapolis, there's a data center proposed for a site that is a contaminated former Ford factory. Like, what are you going to put there that's better? But nobody wants it. And, the arguments are that, oh, it's too close to houses. It'll be too noisy. It's going to, have negative environmental impacts. Well, yeah, but like, didn't a Ford factory have all of those effects too? But we're applying a standard to data centers that don't apply anywhere else. Like another example I give in my column, this is counterintuitive, but water consumption in Indiana actually declined over the most recent 5-year period that the state has records for, from 2019 to 2024. But one area where water consumption went way up is agriculture. Agriculture used 8 billion more gallons of water in 2024 than it did 5 years earlier. But in a lot of cases, you have like farmers refusing to sell out to the data center developer, and they're the good guys. Like the water guzzling farmers are the good guys. But yet one of the big reasons nobody likes data centers is because they take all the water. There is just a complete irrationality to this conversation right now, and I don't know how you overcome that.
I want the following things. I want my taxes to go down. I want to make sure my utilities aren't going to go up. And I want to make sure when I turn the faucet on that it's going to work. I think if I can get secured on those three things, and it's not going to like poison me or my family, I get more okay with the idea. But I don't feel like I had this conversation with a spokesperson or a PR person for the data center people months ago. And he's like, what can we do better? I said, you guys hide in the shadows too much. If the government's not going to take the lead on this and help the data centers out by getting transparency, don't the data center people just have to do it themselves by saying, okay, we won't ask for abatements, or here's what we're proactively going to do, or meet with these? The data centers just have to do it themselves if Braun and the state are not going to lead.
Yeah, and it's absolutely fair to apply blame to a lot of the developers that have been proposing these projects. I think, when there was the first project in Indianapolis that really kicked this off, there was just an utter lack of transparency and a lot of arrogance, and there's just this expectation that the city will do anything that some big tech company wants it to do. And I think that's something the city might have moved forward in a different way, but eventually, like, if you want to build one of these things, you need to like come face people and at least talk to them about what you're going to do and what you're willing to offer, because I think community concessions are sort of a part of it. But one thing you just said a moment ago, you said you want your taxes to be low. Well, do you know what can lower taxes? Data centers. I saw a story before we started this segment that Loudoun County, Virginia is expecting $1.3 billion in tax revenue from data centers next year, and it's going to lower people's taxes because of it. And that is something that if you do this correctly, counties can benefit from letting these things get built and without negatively affecting residents. And that should be the focus. That should be the conversation we're having. How do we extract as much money as we possibly can from these things? How do we pave our roads with the money of data centers? What is the way forward on that? That is the conversation we should be having. But instead, we're just terrified of these things. And because of that, the politicians are terrified to even like flirt with data centers.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got $1 billion building and it's going to buy all this stuff, and you're telling me it's going to pay the full 3%, which is 30 million a year or whatever, and it's going to pay the sales tax on all the stuff it buys and the stuff in the building, I'm much more okay with it. The problem is Braun and Holcomb before him have given them all of these freebies where you're looking at going, oh, okay, it's $1 billion building, but it won't pay its full freight for 20 years. I may not even be here in 20 years. And so I think that's where you and I are in agreement of, you've got to get better policy that stops giving away the stuff to all the data centers. So you get the sort of stuff you're seeing in Virginia, which are these huge payouts for communities.
Yeah, and even as I sort of criticize the view that data centers are never acceptable, I do understand some of the things that went into it. The incentives are part of it. Like, we started off on the wrong foot by, incentivizing these things with no real good justification. We really need to seriously rethink that. There's no reason to be giving away tax breaks to data centers right now. The people who wanted to build these things, they weren't transparent. That was a strike against them. The tech companies that run on AI, they've been telling everyone that AI is going to kill all their jobs, possibly end humanity. Well, that's a great message. So let's build a data center for this like technology that's going to wipe out the earth, and also before that take everyone's jobs away. So there are lots of reasons why people are reacting the way they are, and I do understand that. But I guess to your point, that's where we need leaders to sort of step up and reset things a little bit and stand up and say, give the reasons why we need data centers. Even if you hate AI, if you use Netflix, you're using a data center. If you post photos to Instagram, you're using a data center. So point out like the practical applications for data centers, and then we need leaders to stand up and say, all right, we're not going to people are right. We're not going to give away tax breaks to these things anymore, and sort of reset the conversation. And I think that might go a long way.
James Briggs, IndyStar, is our guest. Couple minutes left with him. Data center hysteria is the new woke. That's his column out in IndyStar. And see, I'm like the guy from the My Hometown Springsteen song. I still wish Hollett and Harmon drugstore was on the corner with Harley's Tavern and the Snakebite Saloon. I could have lived in the town I grew up in, the town looking like that forever. But even I like low taxes more than I like nostalgia. And so I think that's a huge key to it, James, is people see all the giveaways and then they see their utility bills go up and they fear of running out of water and they say, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, and utility bills going up, that's a legitimate concern. And again, that's something that should be hashed out. When if serious people would step up and talk about data centers, we should also be talking about how do we protect ratepayers from subsidizing the electric bills of data centers. They shouldn't be able to just open up, suck all the electricity they need, and then AES bills it to residents. That shouldn't happen. Then we need to have conversations about how to make sure that doesn't happen.
And I thought your column, and so it's a broader thing. Like, I feel like you found a center here, which is to say there's things that have to improve, but we also can't be anti-data center. But I thought one of the takeaways is how it's getting harder and harder to be a center person anymore. Like, whatever the topic is, you have to be extreme one way or another. You can't say, okay, these parts of it are good, these are really concerning, let's fix these and then we can do this. Like, are you finding that you're in touch with people like we are? You hear from people on columns you write every day. Is it getting harder to be a center person?
I don't know if it's getting harder. It always has been. One example on this column I would give you is I saw, City Councilor Jesse Brown, our resident socialist in Indianapolis, called it a rage baiting column. And I don't even know how to respond to that. Like, I can assure you that I've heard from a lot of people who agree with me. Like, I'm expressing a widely held view. Now, it's unpopular. Most people oppose data centers. That is the dominant view right now. But it's also a widely held view that we need them. Like, I'm expressing, as you said, a centrist-oriented argument here that data centers are necessary, and we should talk about how to make them happen in a way that doesn't negatively affect people. That, to me, like, what's rage baiting about that? But if you do sort of operate in the center as I do, and you say things that come across as a little bit contrarian to people who are sort of dug into one camp or another, then I guess it comes across as rage baiting. But that is the challenge of operating in the center is I don't have a tribe. Every time I write a column, everyone just hates it.
Do you?
Go ahead.
Is Brown a troll? I mean, we had him on last week and we had a spirited debate with him when he's talking about get rid of the prisons and the borders. And like you said, when he's commenting on here, like, am I doing a disservice by giving Brown a forum? One of my former colleagues got mad the other day and said, I can't believe you'd give a socialist a forum. I thought, well, he's an elected official. Is Brown a troll or should we take him serious?
I mean, he is elected official. I've never had a bad personal interaction with him in person. I can't speak to what he believes, or he did say that I was being insincere in my column, so he has thoughts on what I believe. I can assure you, like, every word of my column, I sincerely believe. I don't know why someone would think that, but I guess I've reached a point where, because I don't know how to respond to his view that what I'm saying is rage baiting, I don't know how to respond to his view that I'm being insincere. Like, there's just not a conversation to be had there, at least for me. Your mileage may vary.
Well, I feel like I've gotten to know, I mean, we don't hang out at the Bellagio together, but know you pretty good. I would never use rage baiting as I can't even picture you raging, much less
Yeah, every time I see your pal Jim Merritt, he always asks, "What are you so mad about?" And I'm always like, "I'm not mad about anything. What do you mean?" I'm like the most even-keeled person you could ever meet.
Hey, I've never even seen you get angry, which is ironic because I've never seen Merritt get angry either. I feel like you guys are like Ned Flanders in the flesh. Before we let you go, you mentioned the new woke, and obviously there's this woke 1.0 is the phrase now. Is it fair to let the left, to bring this thing full circle, is it fair to let the AOC people who are all on board with all the stuff in 2020 like go, oh, it's kind of crazy, we made a mistake? When you were the elected officials who were pushing the stuff and changing the policy, is it fair to just go, let them go, it was fine?
I think we're in for a reckoning for that period, and I think it's healthy to have people looking for accountability on some of the things that were said and done during that period. I think AOC just waving it off, that's a little bit too easy. I think one of the things that's frustrating to me, though, is the reckoning always has to happen on the left. Like, we're 10 years into MAGA now, and like, where's the reckoning for anything happening with Trump? Like, you don't have to hate Trump to say that, maybe some things have gone wrong during the Trump era, and maybe we should be talking about some of those things at least. But in Indiana, leadership all the way up. We just went through the whole like Diego Morales fiasco, like Republicans kicking him off and replacing him. But it's not because they didn't like corruption. It's just because he was a loser, and so they got rid of him. But there's been no reckoning in the Republican Party about the acceptance of corruption that goes from the lowest levels, from a Diego Morales Secretary of State, all the way up to Donald Trump. I don't know anyone who could objectively argue that Donald Trump is a corrupt politician. And there's just the right is never interested in having a reckoning there, and the left does. Like, another example I would give you, the right was correct about Joe Biden's condition, and people on the left were in denial for a very long time. It turns out he was not fit to be president. I think we can all agree on that right now. And the right is not still satisfied with the way Democrats have sort of acknowledged, like, yeah, he shouldn't have been president by then. He shouldn't have run for re-election. I think Democrats fully admit that, but I don't think you ever really see that level of reckoning on the right, where everyone just goes, yeah, that was bad. We shouldn't do that again. It's just, there's just sort of like a doubling down. And I think that's what bothers me a little bit. I think it's healthy to have a reckoning. It's healthy to say, like, what did we get wrong? How can we do better in the future? But I do think on the political spectrum, the reckonings always are a little bit one-sided.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I did it with Diego and Micah and the rest of those guys, and I got basically banned from the party. So yeah, that's how they deal with it.
Yeah, I think your ability, your desire, your willingness to be introspective is something I respect about you. And yeah, I think you've shown that in a way that I think more people should be asking themselves, like, what did I get wrong, and how did that happen? And I think that's like we should all aspire to do that.
We love the center here. We like ideas. We like free speech. Data center hysteria is the new woke. It's actually a really good column. I think you got some good ideas in there. And James Briggs, Indy Star, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. Be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show. Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
In Congress, I get all sorts of insider stock tips. Sure, I cashed in. It's my Beltway bonus. But now here comes Senator Todd Young with his total ban on congressional stock trades.
Freaking Mr. Clean Marine. Todd Young's got real guts taking us on. Young's gonna cost me millions.
Had enough of this? Contact Senator Todd Young to say thanks and let him know that you stand with his plan to ban stock trading for all members of Congress.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Hope you're having a great Thursday. If you haven't done so yet, help us grow the program. Give us that little thumbs up, that one little like there on YouTube, whether you're watching us live or on demand. If you haven't done so yet, I know. Sounds like a little thing, but it really does help us grow the Rob Kendall Show. Also want to say thank you to our fabulous supporters, Kevin and Jeffrey, who hit the support button over at Rob Kendall Show yesterday. Thank you guys. Can't thank you enough. And remember, that fabulous deal's going on right now. John McKinney, our guy at Black Sheep Plumbing, the deal for the month of August. If you hit the support button at robkendallshow.com, I send you an email to say thanks for supporting our show. We appreciate you. You show that email to John McKinney, and whatever amount you gave over at robkendallshow.com, he's going to double it in a plumbing credit up to $100. So you're like, man, these guys did $50 worth of good this month. I'm giving them $50. You show that email to John. He's going to double that to a $100 plumbing credit for the month of August with Black Sheep Plumbing. Support button, robkendallshow.com. Thanks to Kevin and Jeffrey who hit the support button yesterday. Somebody who supported us from the beginning is our guy, Gary Tedrow. Whether you're buying your first rental property or growing an investment portfolio, financing matters. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps investors explore loan options designed for rental properties and long-term wealth building. As a local mortgage advisor, Gary works one-on-one with investors to help them understand their financing options and create a strategy that fits their goals. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more. Loansbygary.homes to learn more. Gary Tedrow, Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 179207, equal housing lender. A bit of somber news yesterday. Government debt, according to CNBC, numerous other outlets, government debt has officially eclipsed $40 trillion. $40 trillion. We are officially more than $40 trillion in debt. It's a staggering, incomprehensible number. Just 4.5 years ago, that number was 30 trillion. It's not just the number, it's the staggering rate at which the number has grown. And I think the biggest thing out of all of it is we look around and go, what do we get for the money? We've added $10 trillion to our nation's debt in 4 years. Do you feel like your government is any better? Do you feel like society is any better? And the logical question becomes for people, we see the ramification of it. We see what has happened to us. Inflation, affordability, cost of everything skyrocketing. But what have we gotten for the money? This is the question I've been asking for years. Do you ever just sit around and think to yourself, where did all the money go? What happened to all the money? I have no idea. I'm not even being facetious. Obviously, a huge portion of that came out of COVID spending, which was completely wasteful. All COVID did was elevate the super wealthy. You think about the amount of money that you, quote unquote, got from the government if you're a regular person versus what you've now had to pay in increased prices. You got screwed. According to CNBC, in the most recent monthly accounting U.S. finances, Treasury reported a $432.3 billion deficit in July. A $432 billion monthly deficit, the highest monthly total since March 2021. We're 5 years out of COVID, and we are now running deficits that are as high as what we had during COVID. That has become, and this is what should scare the hell out of everybody, that has become the status quo. That has become the baseline spending, and this always happens with government. Government, anytime they get an influx of cash, it becomes the new status quo. The new we have to maintain. That's why I'm so against giving government money to begin with. Once you give it to them, it never goes away. In your life, you have all sorts of one-time expenditures, things you save up for and buy. That doesn't become the standard operating procedure month after month and year after year. And by the way, a lot of this has happened under Republicans. The COVID barrage of 2020 was a Republican president and a Republican Senate. The big, beautiful bill, which added trillions to our nation's debt, was done by all Republicans. The year-to-date shortfall for the United States is nearing $1.8 trillion. 10 years ago, guys, before Trump was elected, the national debt was $19.4 trillion. We have more than doubled the national debt in 10 years. For what? What did we get out of it? I know the ramifications. I know how my life is worse off. I know how my buying power has been not just diluted, but completely shattered. What did you get for it? Interest on the debt has totaled nearly $1.2 trillion this year alone and is the largest budget expenditure outside of Social Security and Medicare. You know how societies collapse? When the overwhelming majority of their money goes to interest and entitlements, because you're not moving forward with any of that money. There's no prospecting with that money. There's nothing new with that money. When all of your money is going to pay off obligations, you're not putting it to work. You in your life, right? I'm sure many of you have financial professionals that you seek advice from, that you invest your money with. You have to have money to give them in order for them to invest for that money to grow. If all of your money is going to pay off your previous obligations, you're never able to move forward. And in Washington, there is essentially no one, especially now that they've run out guys like Thomas Massie, who are trying to do anything to stop this. The Republicans are just as in bed with the irresponsible spending, with the out-of-control growth of government, as the Democrats. Every single one of these Republicans in Washington from the state of Indiana, Todd Young, Jim Banks, Jefferson Shreve. Let's see if I can get all 9 of them right, shall we? Let's see if I can get all 9 between the senators and the U.S. reps. Todd Young, Jim Banks, Jefferson Shreve, Rudy Yocum, professional office hopper Aaron Houchin, Mark Messmer, Jim Baird, Marlon Stutzman, Victoria Sparks. Bam! Damn, I'm good. Oh, man. Sometimes I amaze myself. You know what a small portion of the populace could actually do that? Like if you stopped an average person on the street and said, can you name all 9 Republicans from the Congress? Not many. Anyway, every single one of these people, because they've all voted for all this stuff, especially since Trump got back in office, they should be asked, why is this okay? Why is this all right? As much as they want to blame it on the Democrats, this is on them. And I mean, in the case of Baird, and in the case of Spartz, and in the case of Young, and in the case of Banks, these are people that have been there a while. These are people that have been there since COVID. You look at the national debt that has been racked up since COVID, they're in one capacity or another in on it. I believe every single one of these people voted for that big, beautiful bill. A super Republican state and our representatives are voting for this. And yet, instead of holding them accountable, because you see what happens when you hold them accountable, you get banned from the party. Now, they can't technically ban me from the party. They can kick me out of the events, but I'm still a Republican in good standing. I mean, you get ostracized. You get told you're the bad guy. Isn't that wild? All of the damage these people have done, and we're the bad guys here for challenging them on it. On what planet is 40 trillion of debt okay? And if we're going to acknowledge that roughly 21.5 trillion of it has come in the past 10 years, well, let's review the past 10 years. Republicans had full control of the government in 2017. They had full control of the government in 2018. They had the House and Senate in 2019. They had the House and Senate in 2020. They had full control of the government in 2025. They had full control of the government in 2026. So 6 of the 10 years, the Republicans had majority or full control of the government, where we racked up $21.5 trillion of debt. 2 of the other years, they technically had the purse because they had the House. So 8 of the years, they had control of the purse in some capacity. But 6 of the 10 years, they had the majority of the government. What am I supposed to say about that? Am I supposed to act like it didn't happen? Am I supposed to act like that the data doesn't say what it does? How do we, because you guys get the same stuff I do, how are we the bad guys? How are we the ones in the wrong? This is the Republican Party now. I expect it from the Democrats. I'm not at all surprised about what Biden did when he was in office. The difference is Biden didn't lie to me and tell me he was going to be different. So I dismiss Biden, but I'm not enraged by Biden, because Biden did what Biden campaigned on. The Democrats do what the Democrats campaign on. They're honest. I can dislike it. I can disagree on it, but they're not violating my trust. They're telling me what they are. You vote for me, I'll do this. Okay, now I know. The Republicans, dating all the way back to George W. Bush, for 25 years now, we're going to get the spending under control. Oddly enough, the spending was relatively under control until Bush got elected. And it just keeps happening. Hey guys, great menu specials this week at the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage on the water in beautiful Brazil. Special menu items this week include Korean beef, 8-ounce grilled salmon with honeysuckle sriracha glaze, peanut butter chocolate cake, and vanilla creme brulee. All sorts of amazing options. They're open Friday for dinner, Saturday for dinner, Sunday for brunch. Brunch buffet. The Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage on the water in beautiful Brazil. See the full menu. Just Google Honeysuckle Hill Bistro. Everything's amazing there. Reservations are not required, but preferred to make sure you have a seat, whether it's outdoors or indoors. 812-443-3003. 812-443-3003. All right, Abdul's going to join us here in just a few moments. But before we get to Abdul, one item I wanted to touch on, which is of local note, and there are going to be some big pissed off people. Holy smokes, this is going to make people angry. So this is big local TV news. WRTV6 owner DeJuan McCoy seems to keep making friends. Holy smokes. Now remember, DeJuan McCoy was the owner of Wish TV. He purchased WRTV6 and made huge headlines, and there was huge blowback because he basically laid off almost the entire staff. And I had said at the time, I said, look, if the guy already owns TV stations here in Indianapolis, he owns Wish TV and My Indy TV 23. If you're going to get bought by somebody, which inevitably the owners were going to sell to someone, at least with a local guy, you got a puncher's chance. He's here. He's in the community. Guy's very eccentric. I've met him before. I've had a meeting with him before. It was a hoot, as they like to say. But I said, look, at least you got a puncher's chance. It's a local guy. Maybe you get more local content. People were not happy, though, because everybody got laid off. Or almost everybody got laid off. And now it comes to this. Yesterday, WRTV6 and its sister station Wish both put out the following press release. Viewer notice for DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, and DirecTV streaming customers. Unless an agreement is reached, you will lose access to WRTV beginning Monday, August 24th at 7 p.m. We have negotiated with DirecTV in good faith and have offered fair market terms for WRTV, Wish TV, and WNDY. These rates are consistent with the market value established through agreements negotiated by other broadcasting companies and other video distributors over the past 7 years. So, unless an agreement is reached, and you got AT&T or DirecTV, you're going to lose ABC in Indianapolis, August 24th. And unlike Wish TV, which we'll talk about here in a second, that he got into it with AT&T and DirecTV years ago, McCoy did, with Wish. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But Wish lost its CBS affiliation. So, yeah, there's local programming. Our good friend Phil Sanchez, newsman extraordinaire. He works over at Wish TV. We love Phil. But you weren't losing college basketball or college football or the National Football League. You lose ABC, you're going to lose all of those things right as college football and right as the National Football League are about to begin. Now, you could be like me and be a poor person, and you have the antenna. The digital antenna, as we like to say now. I have 2 televisions in my house. I have one for the streaming TV, and I have one for the antenna TV. We're middle-class people in the Kendall house, the finest that American ever-depleting valued money can buy. I mean, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to go out and get the antenna. He says, the release says, please see the full viewer notice below for more information, including the programming that could be impacted and alternative ways to continue watching WRTV. And he lays out all the things, right? I think the Super Bowl's on RTV6 this year. Nothing like adding a little strong pressure. Now let's go back in the time machine. And this happened before with McCoy's property, Wish TV and My Indy TV 23. Wish TV and My Indy TV 23 were pulled from AT&T Uverse and DirecTV lineups at the end of January 2020, when Circle City Broadcasting, which owns Wish and My Indy TV, as well as now WRTV6, did not reach a rebroadcast agreement with AT&T and DirecTV. The blackout, according to multiple reports, lasted for about 18 months. You know, normally this is like a week. Everybody comes to their senses. With McCoy with Wish TV, that blackout, according to multiple reports, lasted 18 months and then returned to AT&T's platforms. Then it ended up in court. According to sources readily available to you, in 2020, McCoy filed a federal lawsuit accusing AT&T and Dish Network of racial discrimination. He claimed the distributors refused to pay market rate retransmission fees for Wish TV and WNDY because the stations were newly acquired by a black owner. The corporations, the big four, ABC, CBS, NBC, the corporate distributors counted that they do not pay license fees for standalone independent stations that lack the big four operators, ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. Case was in court for quite a while, for years, in fact. A federal judge granted summary judgment dismissing the suits in 2023. It got appealed. In April 2024, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the dismissal, saying that there was not evidence of racial animus shown by McCoy, and the company has legitimate race-neutral business reasons for their decisions. So this went on for years. The blackout the last time was like 18 months. This could be a massive deal, guys. Can you imagine going 18 months without an ABC affiliate? I mean, from a consumer standpoint, you could go to another provider. But holy smokes, the guy gets all these bad headlines about firing all these people. And then a couple months later, hey, if you're on these major providers, we'll see you when we see you. Holy smokes. What an unbelievably potentially massive story. DeJuan McCoy making all the friends. Do you guys have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence, the easy-to-use in-ground fence system designed to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence, locally owned. The owners, Kelly and Jeff, have 3 dogs themselves, and they so believe in the product, they bought the business. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products, designed and manufactured in the United States with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence, 317-862-6606, 317-862-6606, or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com, allamericandogfence.com. And what an incredible deal. You mentioned the Rob Kendall Show, you get $200 off your product and service. Mention the Rob Kendall Show, $200 off your product and service. All American Dog Fence, 317-862-6606. All right, Abdul is going to join us next. We got a ton of stuff to get into with Abdul. We're going to talk about the Andy Zay lawsuit and the governor bringing the heat back at him about his dismissal with the IURC. The Spencer Deary lawsuit, or the challenge, the appeal rather, going to the state Supreme Court, trying to get those ballots counted where the government screwed up the processing. We're going to talk about Chris Garton getting appointed to lead the Senate. We're going to talk about that Secretary of State forum that took place the other day. So much to get to with Abdul when we come back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
I'm Anthony Gary. I started Indy Dwell Real Estate because too many friends, family members, and neighbors had real estate experiences that lacked compassion, explanation, and expertise. You deserve someone in your corner with the heart of a teacher, simplifying every step of the buying or selling process. When you hire me, you get me. Start to finish, you'll never be handed off. No stress, no surprises, just the expert guidance and results you deserve. Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate. Call or text 317-756-1159. 317-756-1159.
Did you know Honeysuckle Hill in Brazil offers more than just a fabulous made-from-scratch meal at the bistro? It also has an adjoining cottage, great for a perfect, relaxing weekend away with a scenic waterfront view. The cottage offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with spa-like tile showers, full kitchen, living room with fireplace, laundry facilities, and a full deck overlooking the lake. And Andy, one of the owners, delivers breakfast in a picnic basket at 8:30 each morning. Plan the perfect weekend away at the scenic Honeysuckle Hill property on the water in beautiful Brazil. Book today by visiting their website at honeysucklehillb.com.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Look who it is. Author, broadcaster,
pain in the ass,
provocateur. IndyPolitics.org is the website. Abdul and James Briggs. Hello.
Hello, my friend. How's it going?
It's going. So you went to the Secretary of State Forum on Tuesday. All the candidates were there. Bayh was there. Schillings was there. Ballard was there. Engling was there. Tell us about the forum.
Yeah, it was good. Nobody did any harm to themselves or their campaigns, because the first rule in these types of events is do no harm. Like, go in, try not to make any news whatsoever. And
you're not trying to win votes in there.
Obviously, you're trying to convince people to vote for you. But the one way you convince people to vote for you is don't screw up.
I'm just not as bad as the other guys. Very good.
You don't pull a Richard Murdoch
so
or anything.
You don't go into one of those trying to stand out. You don't go in trying to make a big stand. You think you just go in and you try to par the course.
Exactly. If I could use a golf.
Yes, very good.
Maybe one under. Maybe
yes.
on a good day.
Yeah. So tell us about where was it? Who put it on? What did we learn?
It was basically it was like Hamilton County sort of business group. One Zone. It was at the One Zone place. Boundary Consulting was the lead sponsor of the group, and they've done this before. They did it last year with 3 governors, with Pence, Daniels, and Eric Holcomb were all there on stage. And so they talk about the Secretary of State's office, what would you like to do? Talk about business services, the whole 9 yards. They also asked, what's your favorite state fair food? That was sort of the
hard-hitting question.
That was sort of the joke question at the end of
yes.
kind of lighten things up. The one thing I thought was interesting was they asked what was sort of your pivotal moment in politics. For Greg Ballard, it was the RFRA thing. For Bayh, it was being the Marines. Engling, sort of the same thing. Lori, I can't remember what Lori did. Almost seems like a lifetime ago. No, but like I said, for the most part, nobody did anything that, in my opinion, hurt their campaign.
So it was like a waste of time.
No, not really. You still get in front of the voters, and the thing to keep in mind is you at this point in the game, you don't want to screw yourself up by making some big stupid statement.
I am disappointed in all of these people because this race has been ridiculously boring so far. We are to the middle of August, and no one has thrown a single solitary haymaker at anyone. I thought the gloves would be off. I thought there would be duels to the death. Nobody's doing anything. I am thoroughly disappointed in all these people.
Well, you can be disappointed, but at the same time, though, boring is good. Like I said,
no, not in our business. Boring's not good.
After months of Diego Morales, I was like, thank you, God. Just a good old-fashioned, boring candidate.
We need some headlines, and I'm not getting any headlines out of any of these people. I was told Bayh had all this money. Where are the attack ads? You know they got Oppo research on Engling. Ballard, what's he's doing? All of these people, it's like they don't care about me at all. This is boring as hell.
I guess if there was a bit of a fight, was Ballard went after sort of the two-party system.
Yeah.
And that I thought, if he was going to, do a punch, I mean, that was probably it. But for the most part, I thought everybody did fine. I don't think anybody screwed up. I don't think anybody hit it out of the ballpark. It was okay.
I have heard from several people that Ballard seems a little sluggish. And this is one of my concerns with Ballard is he's an older guy. Nothing wrong with that. But can he go do 5 events a day? Can he bring the fire? Because as a third-party candidate, you got to stand out from the crowd. You got to bring a little heat. You got to have a little pep. And I heard yesterday, I don't know if he didn't drink his coffee or what the deal was, but I heard from multiple people there wasn't a lot of pep in the step.
Well, like I said, once again, though, if you're Greg Ballard has always been a very thoughtful person. Greg Ballard has never been a big yelling and screaming type of guy. Now, obviously, the mayor's also 72 years old, so I should be selected to live to see 72.
Yeah, I don't know with you. I might take the under with all the stuff you've done.
Yeah, my wife will probably take the under on that one. But I would say Greg being a little thoughtful with his age could probably I can see that being interpreted as, okay, is the mayor okay? Doesn't seem to have the fire like he used to. No, but Greg is still sharp and still gets it.
I just feel like nobody's thinking about me right now. And I really think they should just make this a little more entertaining for us in the media. We have to have something to look forward to.
Well, there's another debate coming up.
Oh.
Matter of fact, there are two of them coming up. There's Indy Chamber. There's another Indy Chamber forum. And then there's the debate commission.
Yeah, that's going to be October the 7th, right? That's the big one. That'll be on statewide television. Let's talk about...
I just have to remind people the moderator is not on the ballot.
That's, yes, as you famously let people know during a U.S. Senate debate years ago. Let's talk about, I'm going to ask you to put your lawyer hat on. Spencer Deary's attorneys petitioned the Supreme Court to take the case with the ballots. 6 votes thrown out against Deary, in which they claimed the votes were totally legal and they were thrown out because of government error. The Supreme Court, I guess you would say it's a victory for Deary, said, okay, we'll hear your argument on why we should take it. We'll bypass the appeals court. They gave Copenhagen's people a chance to respond. I don't see how the Supreme Court couldn't take this case. You're the lawyer, though. What say you?
First of all, I never try to predict what courts are going to do because that's the first way to be wrong.
Oh, yes.
But knowing the justices, I think at the end of the day, they'll probably rule, I would say, in favor of Spencer Deary because
taking the case,
yeah. Because at the end of the day, if it and you said on this program, I said it a million times before, if it's the government, if the voter made the mistake, then the voter.
Yeah, shame on you.
Shame on you. But it's the government who makes a mistake, and this is all the clerks who didn't do the second stamp and everything else. Because if you're a regular person, how do you know it's supposed to be 2 stamps?
Well, exactly. You vote. Thank you. Have a good day.
Exactly. So if you're those folks, I don't see how, at least not right now, how the Supreme Court could rule against Deary. But then again, stranger things have happened before.
So there's 2 components to this. One, will they take the case? You say yes. Then if they take the case, will they rule that these votes should count? You also think that there's a likelihood.
I'm leaning toward yes. I'm thinking yes to take the case and leaning toward yes that they...
How did the recount commission, because we read the statute on the air the other day, and Spencer Deary, read it when he was with us for his interview. It's very clear in the letter of the law, if you follow the letter of the law, that you can't, unless there is some attempt at fraud or deceit or whatever, you can't throw somebody's vote out because the government screwed it up, right? I mean, unless am I just missing something?
No, but this is why we have courts.
Yeah. Well, how does the recount commission not see that, though? Mullen is an attorney. Diego's an idiot, so anything could happen with him. But the Mullen guy's an attorney. The law seemed very clear to me.
But it didn't necessarily seem clear to Mr. Mullen. We'll just leave it at that. My former law partner.
Okay. Let's also talk very briefly about Chris Garton being elected the new head of the Senate, or he will be the head of the Senate.
Come November.
A lot of Republicans or conservatives are doing a happy dance over this. I say look at the voting record. The voting record doesn't seem that much different from Rod Bray. Ignore the speeches. What say you?
Because their voting record isn't all that different. I mean, they're both.
Thank you.
I mean, let's just be honest with each other. Chris has a little bit more fire in the belly. Rod has always been more of an institutionalist, and Chris wants to kind of shake things up a bit. It'll be interesting to see what he does, who he signs to the committees, how many of the new people who won the primaries, how well do they get elected, the whole 9 yards. But I do know it was basically unanimous because he had no challengers.
It's like Saddam Hussein used to win unanimously. Doesn't mean everybody wanted him.
Yeah. But unlike Iraq, they don't have hanging chats, just have hangings. Oh. Yeah, no, Chris did not have a challenger. It was a 3-day sort of get-together marathon. It was pretty much unanimous.
But I mean, his actual voting record, like you said, it's almost identical to Bray's. There's some differences, but you can't think some guy's going to govern differently because he gave one great speech or he did an AI meme on the internet of himself beating up Santa Claus because his voting record shows he's not that much different from Bray.
Here's what I think the challenge for Chris is going to be. It is going from the number 2 guy to the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
Because now you are steering the ship.
Yeah.
No, you're responsible, for the agenda, for the committee assignments. So if this all goes south, it's on you.
Yeah, that's why I never want to be in charge of anything. I always like to sit on the end of the dais. You lob your grenades, you make your points, you piss the people off, Say thank you. Have a good night.
See, I don't want to be the president or the vice president. I want to be that guy like in the middle, like over here.
You want to be the person who gets paid who doesn't do any work. Let's be honest.
I want to be the consigliere.
You want to say you've spent years figuring out how not have to your what'd you say your
my laziness is my motivation for my efficiency.
That's right. Thank you. Your laziness is your motivation for your efficiency. All right, real quick before we let you go, the Zay stuff, the Andy Zay stuff is fascinating to me. The documents came out that are alleging Zay spent thousands of campaign dollars on ties, on scarves, $1,900 at a dinner at St. Elmo's, money on a hotel. This is after he had joined the IURC, which there's not supposed to be any political activity. It's not a good look for him. Is it cause?
I don't know, because here's why. It wasn't personal money, it was campaign money, number one. So it wasn't using like government tax dollars or anything like that to buy stuff.
That's right.
That's kind of point number one. Point number two, he would probably, once his name popped up, is I'd probably donate all my campaign funding to charity or put it in a blind trust somewhere.
Because the rules are pretty clear. You can't do campaign activity, rightfully so, when you're on that IURC because you're supposed to be in court.
Yeah, but this is campaign activity, though.
Well, that's the question. You're the attorney. That's why I'm asking you.
Just because it was paid for with campaign funds, does that necessarily mean it was campaign activity?
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
On scarves and ties.
Yeah, but once again, though, is giving a scarf or a tie to employees.
Well, he didn't give them to employees. He gave them to himself, didn't he?
No, but here's the thing, though. Even if he did, what campaign activity is he engaging in?
Was spending money, is the act of spending campaign money, is that campaigning?
Exactly. And that, my friend, is $1 million question.
Okay. You're a man who enjoys fine dining and a beverage or two.
Yeah.
How in the heck do you spend $1,900 at St. Elmo?
Over time, easy.
Well, did you think he had a tab?
Well, no. I mean,
I think it's like he spent it in a sitting.
Well, easy. At in Hyde Park Steakhouse, there is, or St. Elmo's, Ruth Chris, they used to have like sort of the private dining room.
Yes.
Where you can entertain guests, entertain friends.
Yeah.
And a couple $100 a pop, you can wrap a $1,900 tab real quick.
Yeah, but who is it? But this is where the question, I think he's stuck, because he used campaign funds, just like for the scarves and the ties. If you're using campaign funds, doesn't it have to be used for campaign activity? Well, you can't do campaign activity while you're on this IURC. So who's he buying, let's say it was 10 meals for? Who's he buying 10 meals for?
And that, my friends, is while we watching the trial.
Oh, there you go. Never a guy to deflect. Where can people find you?
ATTY Abdul on Twitter. Also find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and soon to be Blue Sky.
Blue Sky?
Yeah, it's like another social media
you're joining everything.
Yes.
Look at me. Abdul Kim Shabazz. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, thank you.
We'll take a break. We'll be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
If authentic wood-smoked barbecue is your thing, Double D's Barbecue in Clayton is the place for you. Owners Dennis and Tina Duncan, along with their son Garrett, are from Memphis. So when it comes to barbecue, they're not screwing around. No pellet smokers, no roasters, just authentic wood-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. All of Double D's food is cooked fresh daily, and it's all made from scratch. Double D's Barbecue, located at 40 and 39 in Clayton, is open all day, Wednesday through Saturday, but get there early because once they're sold out, they're done. Check out the full menu, ribs, brisket, and more at ddbbq317.com.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Is the inside of your house a total mess, like a complete dumpster fire? Call AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning. When you walk into your house after using AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning, you will see and smell the difference. They take great pride in their workers and treat your home like their own. All cleaners pass through a background check and drug screening. Call today and mention you heard about AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning on the Rob Kendall Show, and you will get an incredible $50 off your first clean. AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning serves all of central Indiana. Book your appointment today by calling 317-530-8148. 317-530-8148. Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show, Indiana news, politics, and government you're not going to find anywhere else. Help us out. Hit that little thumbs up button. Like the show. If you're watching us live or on demand on YouTube, if you haven't done so yet, really helps us grow the show. Hour 3 is upon us. Of course, it's brought to you each day by the great John Rust. Thank you to John Rust. Makes the third hour of the Rob Kendall Show possible. Speaking of John Rust, have you done it yet? Don't forget to RSVP for our big event. Celebration of you, the Rob Kendall Show listener and viewer, at the Palatial Rust Estate in the greater Seymour area. There's going to be lunch catered by Double D's. There's going to be birthday cake for Jason's birthday, patriotic music. I'm going to give a speech on how great the country is, antique car show. So much celebrating going on, and we'd love for you to be there. It's totally free to attend. All you got to do is RSVP. Just send an email. rustforamerica@gmail.com, rustforamerica@gmail.com, and you tell John, here's my name, here's how many people I'm bringing with me. That way John knows how much food he's got to order. The event starts at noon. We would love to see you there. Saturday, October the 23rd, rustforamerica@gmail.com. Speaking of Double D's, it's Thursday, and that means it's Loaded Baked Potato Day at Double D's. Our old pal C. Mills, he went last night for wing night, and they sold out fast. In fact, he got the last set of wings. That's how it works at Double D's. That place is hopping all day, all night. So get there early because the food's all made from scratch each day. So once they're done, they're done. So get there early. Double D's. They take their barbecue serious. Winner of best ribs, best sauce at Ribs Fest in Hendricks County, right there in Clayton. On 40, near 39, a little bit of a trip. Everybody who goes will tell you it's totally worth the drive. Ribs, brisket, and more. Get the full menu and consider the special loaded baked potato. DDBBQ317.com. DDBBQ317.com. Okay, fascinating article from our old pal Jacob Stewart at Indy Star, where he's actually taking the side of Pornhub. And let me get into it a little bit. He's not advocating for Pornhub, but he's saying perhaps Pornhub is getting a raw deal. Now I got your attention, right? How about that for a tease? All right. So basically, Stewart is saying something that I've said for a while. It's ridiculous to tell adults that they have to hop through all of these hurdles to access adult sites while making it super easy for anyone to access Twitter, which openly allows pornography. So 2024, Indiana passed a law that required users of adult-oriented websites to verify their age and block access to minors. And essentially, it was like you were going to have to upload a driver's license. And so what Pornhub and other adult-oriented websites said is, we ain't doing that. We're blocking the site. We're just not going to allow access to the site in Indiana. But the law created certain exemptions. Newspapers, cloud storage providers, internet providers with affiliates and subsidiaries, search engines, and websites, and this is the key, on which less than 1/3 of the content is harmful to harmful to minors, which exempted Facebook. It exempted Twitter. You know why? Because the politicians use them. That's why they exempted Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, because the politicians use them for their own benefit. Everybody knows there's porn all over Twitter. It's not in debate. Adult content is all over Twitter. And yet, for some reason, it got exempted because the politicians use it. And so what Stewart is saying is the same thing that I've said for years. If you want to exempt the adult sites, have at it. If you say as a state, we are against these legal activities, which that is, consenting adults can do that, and there's no crime being committed. But if you want to say we're against it, then have at it. But you got to do it for everyone. You can't just say it's only for these specific sites and then allow a website, which clearly does. Now, Facebook has blocks on it. Instagram has blocks on it. They go up to the line on Facebook and Instagram, but by the, I'm sure, technical letter of the law, they don't do it. You can't allow Twitter to do it. Now, as Stewart writes, only 13% of content on X was adult content in 2022. It seems like it's a lot more now. But it's not a third. And the law in Indiana is very specifically written for a third because the lawmakers wanted to make sure those social media sites were exempted. Stewart writes this: either way, implying whether it's 13% or more, even 13% is a substantial amount of content. An August 2025 report by the Children's Commissioner for England found that 59% of minors there have been accidentally exposed to adult content. X was the most common source. Social media made up 8 of the 10 most common sources. Exactly. Look, my opinion on this, we used to talk about this all the time in the old radio show when this law is being debated. You're the parent. You police your kids. You don't want your kids to have access to adult content. Don't let them on the internet unsupervised. You got a cell phone, block the ability to access the content. I don't think you should be telling law-abiding adults I got to upload a driver's license, which goes who knows where and to whom, in order to access legal content, which it is unless your state has made the website essentially inaccessible. It's not an endorsement of the site, but it's saying it's the same argument I've had about having the excess taxes on alcohol and cigarettes, sin taxes. Either something's legal or it's not. Either alcohol's legal or it's not. Either cigarettes or cigars are legal or it's not. If you want to say alcohol should be illegal, okay, let's have the conversation. We tried that. It didn't go so well. You want to say cigarettes should be illegal, they kill people, okay. But taxing something that is legal at a different level than other things is ridiculous. And the same is true here. If you want to ban adult content on the internet and ensure that young people don't access it, then do it for everyone. When you start exempting websites that clearly engage and support it, I mean, Twitter has openly said you're allowed to post this content. Now, what gets interesting, because Stewart writes, if the law's purpose in Indiana is to protect minors, it needs to respond to how minors actually view the adult content. Exactly. Unlike me, though, Stewart claims parents are incapable of effectively policing their kids' social media usage. See, he and I disagree on this. The parent's job is to parent their kid. You parent your kid how you want them parented. I parent my kid how I want her parented. We're not going to agree on a lot of things. That's okay. That's the role of the parent. So what Stewart wants is the phone companies themselves to police the issue. I thought this was interesting. He writes, built-in screen time features need significant improvement. They also need to be automatically turned on the strictest settings until device users verify their age. This should create a credential that all external platforms are required to utilize to easily determine the age of users. Look, if you told me if I had a choice, I think his idea is probably better. We're treating everyone the same there and then allowing the user, him or herself, to decide what content they want that device to be able to access. This credential should be used for access to platforms on both apps and on the internet. Platforms should be required to abide by certain standards in what they show users with that age credential. Agreed. The adult oriented site has the right to exist. Our government, our society has said it has the right to exist. If it has the right to exist, then you can't be treating it differently than another site that is providing the same content, which is what is happening. Device-based verification like this would be much harder for children to work around, including by using a virtual private network. Children could still access explicit content on shared devices, but parents would have a much easier time monitoring their use themselves than on a child's personal device. Fascinating article. We kind of go about it different ways, but we both agree the current law as written is totally unfair. And you got to be, when it comes to being the government, you got to call it even. You got to call balls and strikes. Whether you like the content or you don't. It's not about what we like. It's as a free society, as a fair society, you have to treat everybody equally. And allowing Twitter, which clearly has a large amount of adult content on it, to exist without any verification whatsoever through the state of Indiana, but yet having these adult content sites, which have the same stuff that Twitter has, have to go through all these other hoops. Totally unfair. Shouldn't be the way we do business. Hey, Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate. You know, he just doesn't show houses. He finds you homes with everything you're looking for, explains your options, and gets your offer accepted without you losing sleep or sanity. Anthony Gary, expert negotiator, and he wants to help you achieve your real estate goals. Put Anthony's expert buying strategy and experience to work for you. Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate. Call or text. I can confirm he does return texts. 317-756-1159. 317-756-1159. Okay, one other thing I wanted to touch on. I saw this story, and I thought you guys would love having this information. The amount of money the lottery brought in this year. Holy smokes. And then we'll get to producer Jason with the best YouTube comments of the day. Holy smokes, did the lottery bring in a crap ton of money? Let's see here. Up. Where's it at? I got too many papers here. Holy smokes. Okay, here we go. From the Capitol Chronicle. Wow. Good grief. The Hoosier Lottery had nearly $1.7 billion in sales last fiscal year. And of that, it's going to send almost $350 million back to the state, according to preliminary and unaudited data presented Tuesday by State Lottery Commission officials. The state, for those of you who don't know, the way the state works, fiscal years, it's not like January 1 to December 31st. The state considers a year, begins in July, ends June 30th. So from July 2025 to June 30th, the Hoosier Lottery brought in nearly $1.7 billion in sales, and it's going to mean $350 million to the state. That is above what was brought in last year for the state, $341 million. The all-time record was during the COVID stuff, 2021, $376 million. The surplus, people are like, what does the lottery go for? It goes to help pay off pensions for teachers, firefighters, and police, and takes about half the cost out of the motor vehicle excise tax that you pay every single year when you register and plate vehicles. Get a load of some of these numbers. These numbers are wild. And this is not like a lot of times with topics, I got a hot take, right? I don't really have a hot take on this. Just the numbers are staggering to me. Scratch ticket revenue, so the scratch offs, hit $1.2 billion. The Powerball came in at $134 million. That was about $48 million ahead of the budget. And the Hoosier Lotto was about $44 million. The nearly $53 million in revenue for Mega Millions was about $15 million off the projected budget. Non-jackpot draw games garnered $214 million, about $17 million more than expected. For those of you who don't know, the way the lottery works, and I know I've told this story before, I have but one experience with the Hoosier Lottery. When I was working in the state auditor's office, I was asked to interview, I think it was communications director was the position. I was asked to interview with the lottery for a job. And I went over, there's an actual lottery office you go over, and I was like, oh man, the lottery. They said, hey, would you be interested in interview for this? I said, sure, absolutely, no problem. No expectation I was going to get the job or whatever. I just thought this might be a fun job to just learn how the whole thing works. And so you go over to the lottery office. I'm like, man, lottery's fun, right? They're like the Willy Wonka people. I bet they got Oompa Loompas running around designing lottery tickets. These people are going to be fun. And I thought, I'll do a little icebreaker. They you go in there and you meet the people, and then they take a little tour of the lottery offices, and you see all the stuff, and then you sit down for the interview. And I thought, okay, these people are fun, right? They're all about having a good time. They're going to enjoy some humor. And so we sit down, and I look at them and say, hey, before we get started, just how rigged is the lottery? And those people just stared back at me with a lifeless expression. And I wanted to say, well, I'll see myself out now. Thank you. Have a nice day. Needless to say, I did not get the position. They did not appreciate the humor. But the lottery, for those who don't know, is actually operated by a third-party provider. The state has a contract with a company who runs the lottery. And the state gets a guaranteed amount from the provider. So the provider is in charge of the tickets and the payouts and all of this stuff. And the state each year gets a guaranteed amount of money from this provider for the privilege of those people being able to run the lottery. Now, the state has oversight. They have commissioners, et cetera, but they're not running the day-to-day operations. If the provider doesn't meet revenue projections, they have to make up the money on their own. If they exceed revenue projections, they get a commission of that money. The operator's name is Brightstar Indiana, previously named IGT Indiana, is expected to receive an incentive payment of $7 million. So the operator, Brightstar Indiana, did so well and brought so much extra money back to the state, they're going to get an additional $7 million. The lottery paid out about $1.1 billion in prizes last year. So you think about this. The state brought in $1.7 billion. It paid out $1.1 billion. Public school math tells you players lost about $600 million on the lottery. The state got $350 million. That tells you sort of where the rest went, operation expenses and payout to the operator. But if you ever have a thing like, I'm going to hit it big with the lottery, you should probably remember that according to this data from the Indiana Capital Chronicle, the lottery had $1.7 billion in sales and $1.1 billion in payouts. You do the math on how the odds are actually stacked up. Hey, guys, you got a masonry color mismatch? Previous repair catching your eye? Not happy with the brick color on your home and ready for a total makeover? Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants offer specialized masonry staining and recoloring. Whether you want to seamlessly blend repairs or completely transform your home's exterior, you want to build something new? Bramwell Mackay's 40-year master masons design and construct custom patios, sidewalks, outdoor summer kitchens, archways, entryways, and more. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY, beauty built to endure. And with that, that's enough out of me today. It's time to turn it over to a trained professional. Producer Jason joins us to read the best YouTube comments of the day, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. Producer Jason, hello.
Hello, Rob. Just signing up for my new X account. Big Daddy Jason seems to be available. Who would have thought? All right. If your water, well, let me get that out of the way.
You should spend more time worrying about the sponsors and not your X account.
I was trying to get it in there. If your water heater, water softener, well pump goes out, even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. Black Sheep Plumbing can do the job right at a fraction of the cost of the big guys. And Black Sheep Plumbing says thank you to all military, firefighters, and police officers with an American Heroes discount. Give them a call. Give them a text. 765-315-7558. John McKinney, Black Sheep Plumbing, 765-315-7558.
You were so busy, you didn't even see how I knocked that Hulk Hogan figure over and put it back up while you're reading that
Is that
sponsorship
right?
announcement.
Well, there you go.
We need a better table.
Rob's got skills. Yeah, that's a great shirt, producer Jason. Thanks, Josh Richardson. People think my shirts are what do you call that? The flannel. They're not flannel.
They do look flannel.
They're not flannel. They're just patterned.
Yeah, they do look they look Al
The only ones
Borland.
I could find that are tall. Like I have to get, like if I just get an XL tall or XL shirt, then it's like a belly shirt for me. My belly button shows. So
Who
I have
was
to get
tall
like a
in your family?
My dad was taller than me. My brother's taller than me, and the oldest brother's shorter than me. But
Your
I think
dad
he's
was taller
shrinking.
than you.
Yeah, my dad was even taller than me, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, I'm like 6'3", 6'4". He was like 6'5". I mean, my mom's like 3 foot.
Yeah, your mom's very
She's
short.
like 3'2". Ball of fire, though. All right, let's get to the chat. Started it off this morning. Well, I don't know what time it started off. Started off 6 p.m. last night. But this morning, I'm starting off with Kevin Branham. Good morning, Rob and Jason, with the foam finger number 1.
Kevin hit the support button yesterday over at robkendallshow.com, so we want to thank Kevin Branham.
That's one reason we started with Kevin today. Thank you so much, sir. The old man 68, happy soggy Thursday. The sun's out now here, so
is it?
Yeah,
we wouldn't know.
Yeah, we're very very insiders here. Wino Gina, hope everyone is still doing okay after more rain storms last night. I saw the tornado clouds floating by. I don't know where that was. Josh Richardson, has Driver been in the chat? And then Driver responds, not until now, Josh. Good morning, all. Sue Seifert, everybody's just looking out for everybody.
That's great. That's why I love the YouTube chat community.
That's right. Sue Seifert, data center news today, ? Yes, there was a lot of data center
We did a lot of
news.
convo. James Briggs, Indy Star columnist. If you missed the conversation, we'll have it posted up here in just a little bit. So you go back and watch the interview if you want.
Yeah, I don't think
or
they
you
were
can just
real,
watch the show.
I don't think they were real pleased with Mr. Briggs, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, okay, we'll get to it. All right.
Yeah,
very
Sue
good.
Seifert. We were just talking last night about how we are already to the point that we cannot escape being tracked. Anyone born in the 80s or later had a cord blood taken in case of need for health. I'm not sure what a cord blood is, but I imagine that's some sort of like your DNA or something.
Mine was taken?
It's above my head. If you were born after anyone born in the 80s, that would not include me.
That would be me.
Yep, there you go, Rob. Your cord blood's been taken, apparently. 06010 board. Would we care if they didn't pass taxes, ruined farmland, or caused our electric costs to soar? Meaning, would we care about the data centers if those three factors weren't a part of it? But we don't know because they won't tell us. Driver is one of those. It's one of those Mondays on a Thursday. That's why I felt today. I told Rob's like, man, I'm just out of it today. I'm not sure why. MLM Warriors, new shirt. Yep, Rob's got a new shirt. 06010 board. Did Rob get that shirt from Tractor Supply?
I did not. You would have to ask my mother where she got it from. That is a mother shirt.
Rusty.
My mom, by the way, my mom has to stop buying shirts. I've told her I got too many shirts now.
I was going to say, you should have a closet.
I don't have anywhere to put them now.
The wife's
no more
going to be
shirts.
like, we're going to have to start packing these away because you're not invading my closet space. Rusty, damn, that's new one. A red one with white trim. Josh Richardson, well, that's a new shirt. I told you guys in the chat a couple nights ago, Rob's got a whole treasure trove of new shirts. Charles Ludy, good morning, Robbles. I'm still in search of an ARC if anyone has one to sell. I think you got to build it yourself, Charles. I think that's the whole point.
One of the things that I am very blessed with is my kid sleeps through about everything. So the storms doesn't wake her up. My dog was that way too. So I've been very lucky.
Well, your dog slept through life, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been very lucky. My kid, she doesn't bother her, and she woke up this morning and it was raining. You know, water on the streets. Yes, it rained last night. You slept through all of it.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Josh Richardson, bit of a Western theme. Rob the Cowboy.
Yes.
Debbie Holcomb liked it too. Ooh, nice color, she says. 06010 board. But is Rob wearing boots?
No, I am not. I've
boot.
never been a boot person.
Rob's not a Western wear kind
I think
of
I can
guy.
honestly say I've never in my entire life worn a pair of boots.
All right. Oh, Charles Ludy. Okay, so I've changed my mind. Red is Rob's color. Purple is out.
They're all my colors.
Purple is out. Red is in. It's kind of a purplish, like a
maroon.
Maroon. Yes. The 06010.
Maybe I'm just a beautiful person. That's why they all look so good on me.
Could be. 06010 board. I didn't realize the cloud would have such a physical presence and cost me so much money. That's the cloud where you store all your porn photos. You shouldn't store your porn in the cloud because they can trace it that way. You should turn that off.
Does anybody store stuff anymore? It's 2020.
Well, I mean, a lot of times, like your phone, if you just got it checked on, and then when you download a photo or what, it just goes into the, like, you'd be amazed the stuff in the cloud that you have no idea is in your cloud there, Rob. Go check your cloud. Rusty, no doubt about it, old man. Mad Duck, is that shirt red or maroon? I think we've discussed it's maroon, right? Okay. Charles Luty, rust-colored red. Little John
Rust-colored red.
Yeah. All right. Wino Gina, she says maroon. Okay, let's get off this shirt. Continuing on. Okay. Well, C. Mills says it does look like it'd be better if it had some pearl button snaps on it. Yeah, it's just got regular buttons. Thomas Ho, looking forward to keeping Briggs honest. Well, he was honest, but not sure they agreed with him. 06010 board. Glenda Ritz is the reason that the Indiana GOP fears the red teachers.
She was a disaster. I mean, she was a moron, but Bennett did a lot of stuff, and even before the stuff after he'd left office that got uncovered, he was Daniel's henchman, and they did not like him. Mm-hmm. Bennett fell on the sword for Mitch.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. C. Mills, you should have been out at Double D's last night to get them wangs.
Wangs?
Just saying. He had some wings and some potato salad. Looked pretty darn good. Posted on Facebook. That's what Facebook is for. MLM Warriors, there is a pin in the cup. Yes, I threw the pin in the cup because Rob keeps throwing his pins on the chairs, and they're light-colored chairs. One day, one of those pins is going to bust, and we're going to have a big blob on there. We're going to look low class. So I popped it over into the thing.
Look at those chairs, dude. I think we're already there.
Yeah, there's no pin stain, no ink stains yet. The 06010 board, Rob stole the pin from the bank. What does that pin say?
It's not my pin, so
I know it's I provided
Z-Bart. Remember Z-Bart? Are they still around?
Wow, where'd we get that? That's crazy. All right. C. Mills, getting Ingling, that'd be Max, on the show would be like getting Diego on the show or Todd Young. He might be a Marine, but we'll leave that part out. Says he's not a man. Okay. Pam Kendall.
Yeah, no. Ingling's never coming on this show. That is never going to happen. They would like tie him to a chair if he tried to come on the show. That would never happen.
The only non-Marine in the SOS race, right? Who's the...
Schillings is not a Marine.
Is not either. Okay, well, 2 out of 2. Pam Kendall, don't blame Rob for the shirt. I bought it. Sorry, guys. Still think it looks great, though.
It does. It looks fabulous.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good-looking shirt.
I just told her no more shirts. My closet, she's bought so many shirts, and they're all fabulous. Mm-hmm. But I said, I have nowhere to put the shirts
If they all look the same, it'd be very boring. Yeah, we don't want boring.
It's part of the charm of the show.
That is correct. The old man 68. I think we should start doing an over/under on how long Rob gets into the show before. And by the way, gets said. By the way, Charles Moody. I'm not sure Ingling is necessarily a moron. He's just. I was going to ask you how to pronounce this word before we did this, Rob. Ludi uses big words.
Yeah.
Duplitish. I don't know. And knows he's full well what he's doing. Duplicitous.
Close enough.
Yeah, I know how to say it. I just can't spit it out.
That's fine.
Sue Seifert. I often wonder what it takes to sell your souls to a party, some more than others, but I wonder what the bottom is or what one does to be blackmailed to do such things.
Well, I think there's two. There's like the people.
Duplicitous.
Yeah.
Duplicitous. Yeah.
Duplicitous.
Yeah. Okay. Continue.
I think there's two sides to that. There's the people that do it for power. That, they want to be in office, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then the bigger issue is all these people who go to these events who are, if they're in office or they're a low-level office holder, like the party people. And I think it becomes their social structure. I've thought about this for a while. It's like, why don't more people push back? Like all these people push back in private or the people that send me stuff or whatever. It's like, why don't you do it? You go to the events. I'm banned. Why don't you go to the events? And I think it's because the political stuff for these people becomes their social club. And if they get mouthy or they push back or they state the obvious, they're worried they're going to be excommunicated from the social club. And I just don't think they want to lose that. So I think they just sit there and accept it. And it manifests, grows the problem.
C. Mills, I feel like we don't have enough likes for the amount of people that are here. Hit that dang thumbs up, y'all.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, I think that'd be great. MLM Warriors, NFL season kicks off in 20 days. That's good. Thomas Ho, SOS campaign is boring, but are we surprised? I'm not sure it's really boring. It is
boring.
It is?
I've declared. What's going on? They're not doing anything.
Oh, well, it's not time yet. You got to give buys time to hit that. There's going to be an October surprise.
It's August.
We
are almost to September, and these guys are doing nothing.
Right.
I am meaner to these people than any of the candidates are to each
What's
other.
What's doing with all that treasure chest?
Exactly.
He's like going to St. Elmo's and spending $147 on hotel rooms.
What's he doing?
Spend that money.
Come on. Somebody do something here. This was supposed to be the summer of Rob. This race was supposed to be great. We can't see the whole system crumble on itself if you guys don't do your part. Get it together. Let's go.
Somebody make up for Diego being out of the picture.
Let's go.
Wino Gina, I said boring is better than scandals. Not for us.
Not for us.
Hell no. MLM Warriors.
Once you're in the office, agreed. But right now, we need something to talk about.
Scandal. MLM Warriors presidential election Tuesday, November 7th, 2028, 810 days. 810 days. Is that right? It's only 365 a year, right? So, okay, yeah, that would be right. Who am I to question MLM Warriors? Gravity Hill Gambler. I live by the data center in Monrovia. It's my understanding that they paid for the new EMS centers to be built in Morgan County. I'm not pro data center, but they are doing some good. Ooh, he probably got ripped for that. Steve Green with an E. Why is Bo talking about lowering taxes as a Secretary of State?
Well, and that's, obviously, if you missed the first part of the show, he played this clip of Bai, and he got asked about dealing with the maniacs on the left, and he wants to talk about stuff where he thinks the Republicans are vulnerable, but that's a fair point. And that's the same thing with Diego. Like the guy was talking about all sorts of stuff that had nothing to do with the office. And ultimately, right, it's an administrative position. All the hysteria about if Bai wins, it's going to turn into, it ain't going to turn into nothing.
As soon as if he wins, the very next day, he's going to be running for something else.
Well, but also the General Assembly is in charge of the Secretary of State's office. He can't do anything. And he wouldn't want to anyway, because like you said, he's going to run for the probably governor, be the next thing. But it's an administrative position. None of this stuff, the stuff that England's talking about with the CDL stuff.
His job is to check on the businesses.
That's right. That's Diego made very clear.
He gets a $90,000 used SUV to go check on the businesses. By the way, I was going to start with Kenneth. And by the way, I was going to start with Kenneth Eagle today. That's what because he says thanks for keeping me awake, Rob. Just under 13 hours round trip tow to Detroit.
Wow.
Yeah, he mentioned earlier that he got a call about 11 o'clock last night. Had to tow somebody to Detroit and then come back.
Holy smokes.
Crazy. Or not 11. It was like early or like wee hours of the morning. So stay awake. Keep listening. All right. There we go. 06010 board. How many average Indiana voters have any idea what the Secretary of State does? He checks on the businesses.
That's right.
Yeah, make sure they're okay.
Make sure they're fine.
I'm here to check on you. You okay? Yep.
It's an administrative position. These people, both sides, they're full of it. You're an administrator or the will of the General Assembly. They make the rules. You enact the rules. That's it. That's what you do.
C-Mill, speaking of almost being September, my birthday is coming up September 3rd, and my niece just moved into her dorm. I'm too dang old for being the youngest in the chat. I don't know if you're youngest. What is your age, C. Mills? Before you say you're the youngest.
I would guess C. Mills is late 30s.
Late? Okay.
I would say late. I'm saying I would count 37 as late 30s.
Okay. I'll go a little younger. I'll go under. I'll go 36.
All right. I'll say
he's Price is Right rules.
All right. So if he's 37 or over, I win.
Okay.
Or 36 or younger, you win. C. Mills, how old are you?
Right. All right. Don't fake it. Christy Avery, I also got a birthday coming up. She probably won't tell us how old she is. Seems like they get less exciting as time goes on. Yes, they do. Jason's birthday will be awesome, though.
When did you stop?
Awesome than
when
yours.
did you stop celebrating your birthday?
About 1989. I got married.
Does your mom still do something for you on your birthday?
Always.
Yeah.
Always, yeah.
But I'm saying like an actual
let's get together for the birthday. We don't do the cake and blow out the candles and
Right.
sing anymore. I got brothers. We don't sing the happy
Right.
birthday song. And
But see, I don't count that. I'm saying like an actual like it was a big event for your birthday.
well,
like,
not a big event. It's just we get together and
That's
have,
what I'm saying. I'm saying
have
that's not. I'm
pizza.
saying when did you stop where like your birthday was a big deal? That's I guess what I was asking.
I don't know. A long time ago.
Yeah.
To me, it's
My theory on the birthday is
Christmas also it's another day.
you should celebrate the mom because the mom
Well,
did
that's
all
what
the
Mother's
work.
Day is for.
But she gets 2 days. You know, as someone who has seen the birthing experience firsthand, up close, those people deserve 2 days.
Well, you don't know how much trauma the kid went through to.
But then I remind my wife all of the things she said about me during the birthing experience. So
Oh.
I endured a lot too.
I can only imagine. All right, let's see. There we go.
When after Livy was born, after everything was done, I looked at her and I said, "You know, you said some things I know you're going to regret
You are the
about me."
supreme ruler of this family, is what you told her.
I said, "You're going to be sorry when you look back on this in a few days."
She's like, no, sorry. It's just like being drunk. The truth comes out. All right, 0601 board. Congrats to all of you for our country's achievement of passing $40 trillion in debt.
That's amazing, isn't it?
That is crazy. Gravity Hill Gambler. I think our government is the main problem, not the data center. I think they go hand in hand. I'd say
Everybody's tied in together.
Yeah.
The data centers don't care about you at all. They're going to get as much as they can for as little, and that's where the government has to step in and say, no, we're not doing that.
Mad Duck at Pam Kendall. I think the shirt looks just fine.
It's fabulous.
Yes. 0601 board. By's speech was nothing more than a poll-sensitive response made Bill Clinton blush.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was very plasticky. It was not. You got to just say the thing that people recognize. Hey, we got some nutbags in our party. They're not me. They don't represent me. The problem is the nutbags will turn on him, and he knows that. So that's why he don't want to call out the nutbags, but he's going to have to because that was a missed opportunity by him to appeal to middle people going, look, there's some maniacs here, and we got to stop them. But the Republicans got some maniacs too, and I'm trying to find the middle or whatever, however you word it. It was a bad answer. He didn't do a good job with it.
C. Mills. I'm 36.
Oh, damn.
Bingo.
You won. That's very good.
Another month, I would have lost. You were that close.
Oh, that's right. I was that close to victory.
Yeah.
Good job by you.
Thank you. All right.
Why did you say 36?
Because you said 37. So I just wanted
you were
to go
just
one
okay.
under. Yeah, I total guess there. He didn't look older than 36. He looked younger than 36, actually. I only saw him once, though. C. Mills, right here.
He's always wearing a hat, though.
Oh, I don't know.
Every time I've seen him, he's been wearing a hat.
Yeah, young people wear hats. Politicians be like, this is C. Mills. Politicians be like, that's a great question. Let me not answer it. Charles Ludi, the progressives in some corners are out there praising Castro. It was Castro who was committing murder and televising it long before Hamas made it cool. I'm not sure they made it cool, but let's see. 0601 board. Castro did like baseball, though.
He was a baseball fan.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. Mark Tribble. Hello, chat people. I'm here for another day of Rob and the awesome chat.
Thank you, Mark.
Mark's been making himself known here. The chat.
Appreciate having you.
He says the chat is as interesting as the show.
It is.
Yes.
We love the chat. That's why we do it.
Yes. Who's your simple country lawyer? I'm with Rob. Have to call out the crazies in your own party. It will get you points for honesty, and it's something Republicans won't do. All Republicans stand for is tax cuts for the rich. The rest is for show.
Yeah, I mean the Republicans are, to go back to buy, because that's what brought all this up. They're lumping you in with those people. Everybody knows it's going to be voting about those people. If you don't reject those people, you give credence to, well, sure, the Republicans are awful, which they are, but I can't let a Democrat in there because, well, you know, these people. And then people say, well, Buy's not one of those. Well, he had an opportunity right there to bring some smoke on him, and he didn't want any part of it.
You going to guess how old Christy is? Christy Avery?
Nope.
She says 59. She says,
I would have
I'll
not
tell you.
believed she was that old. No way.
I've never met her, so I know you've met her.
Christy is an amazing person, wonderful, and a gigantic Weird Al Yankovic fan. She is awesome.
All right. Good call not trying to guess her age, though, regardless if she wants to tell it or not. Thomas Ho. Whenever Trump opens his mouth, he gives Rob something to talk about.
That Kim Jong-un stuff was wild.
Let's give him something to talk about.
Am I wrong? Like saying what a good guy and how well
he's just trying to be like, he's not causing any trouble. He's being a good boy. It's like having a couple kids, and the one that's really ornery, he's like sitting back, relaxing. You're like, oh, okay, you're doing great today. You want something to eat? Or you need anything? You're doing fantastic. Thanks for not being an ass. I think that's kind of what he's saying. You know, you gotta read between the lines. The 06010 board, the Kim regime isn't going anywhere. In the Korean conflict, soften the tone, let the West infiltrate. I don't know what any of that means. Steve Green with an E. Somebody needs to tell Trump to shut his pie hole.
I'm at the point now where I hear Trump talk, I get angry. Like, I was there with Biden from the beginning, but I'm there with Trump now. It's like, stop, just stop. You're pissing me off every time you talk.
Mm-hmm. Do a Biden, go sit in the basement for
Yeah,
a while,
it's like,
please.
dude.
Yeah. All right, Mad Duck, data centers are not good, and the people that think they are have no idea what they're for. Okay. Josh Richardson, no, they didn't feel appropriate in the moment. Okay, I'm not sure what that. Okay, this was the interview with
Briggs,
with your friend Briggs there.
Yeah.
So, okay. T. Heller, the internet has replaced all print, books, newspapers, and magazines. It's electricity entirely replacing paper media. Its economics introduces massive consolidation of the industries. Yeah, all that information's getting shrunk down into centralized places, and that's very easy to change that information, change history, delete the information.
Yeah, I know. I was watching that podcast yesterday. This guy, he's a YouTube expert, and companies hire him to boost their YouTube presence, and he was talking about, basically saying that not completely replace, but largely replace in the foreseeable future, YouTube could replace traditional television, because there's so many options on YouTube now.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many opportunities for people to watch something there. You don't have to, other than, like live sporting events where companies have broadcast rights or whatever. You don't have to go to terrestrial television anymore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Shrog Sandwich, she'll be also at the John Russ 250th birthday party. She will be painting and drawing and doing all kinds. She will be the house artiste.
Yeah, that's right.
So make sure you get over there and throw her a bunch of money. Just make it rain up on Shrog. All right. She says, why such secrecy around flock cameras and data centers? Well, I think she means data centers. Hello, they're a Trojan horse. Like I said minutes ago, we live in a giant IQ test.
I like my show.
Huh?
I like my show.
I don't think that's what people are saying. We had internet before we had data centers, and the data centers, I mean, again, what they say is for the cloud. I mean, obviously everybody's got a cloud. You got to store all that information. That they've got to go through AI. They've got to all that type of thing. So I think a lot of people are like, hey, we had the internet, we had YouTube, we had Facebook, we had all this before data centers. Now they're saying we need it because of all that, but what's the difference and why do we need it? And I don't think they're explaining it properly.
No. I thought that was the interview. Like, people were mad at Briggs. It's like, I think he had a pretty reasonable position, which is the government's got to do more. The data centers have got to do more, but it's not realistic to say we can't have any.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, he compared it to the woke stuff of 2020. I don't know if I agree with that, but his job is to get people to read the column. It's a good headline. It makes you want to read the column.
True, and coming on the Rob Kendall Show gives him credibility.
Right, absolutely. And we like Briggs. He's a good guest. He's a well-thought-through guy. I don't have to agree with people on their opinion. Some people do. I don't have to agree with the person's opinion to have him on my show.
Right. Okay. C. Mills, if we can have offshore drilling, oil drilling, why can't we have offshore data centers? They do have a bunch of them up in, I don't know, where's it, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, somewhere like that, where they're saying they're in the Arctic and they don't have to worry about all that water because it cools because they're in the ice and all that. And they have plenty of water up there. They can melt it. Shrog Sandwich, Rob, you're making my point for me. Nobody's even willing to talk about it. That's all you need to know.
There should be a data center moratorium in this state until we get a comprehensive policy and transparency around the data centers. I think that's a reasonable position.
But the people that would be in charge of that would be politicians.
That's
so
right.
We say reasonable. Okay, Brooksy 76. Come to my area around Leap data centers. Makes you want to cry. The loss of all our beautiful farm and countryside. Yep. Somebody sold that land, though.
And you would, but the key is you would not have had those data centers there, the Facebook, the Meta complex, without massive government intervention. Look, I would have much less, like I'm very sympathetic to the Leap people because of what's happened, but mostly because the government did it. They created the ability to buy that land. They created the purchasing power. They gave the incentives to Meta. If Meta just come in and said, we're doing this ourselves and we're paying the full freight, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, it is what it is. But when you've got the government facilitating it, that sucks.
Leads us right into our next comment by Vic Ferrari. Make them pay for their own data center is how you get people to get on board. It's not that difficult.
And I think Briggs acknowledged that. He said, they need us. We should not be giving away tax incentives or buying land. That's crazy, all the stuff they did there in Leap.
He did hit a nerve when he talked about the water-guzzling farmers. Rusty B, put the crack pipe down, son. Farmer Tom, the water-guzzling farmers are the good guys unless you figure out how to go without food.
Yeah, that wasn't a great one because that is you need the farmers to eat.
Captain Lucas, this guy sucks. Well, everybody's got an opinion. There we go. He's not talking about Farmer Tom. He's talking about Briggs. Vic Ferrari, comparing a farmer water guzzling to a data center water guzzling is the most idiotic thing I've heard today.
He made a lot of good points. That was one I did agree with. I thought, well, that's going to go over great in this chat.
Yeah. Brooksy, most workers at these sites are out of state, not local.
That is true.
Yes, very true.
That is true. The data center builders are oftentimes out-of-state workers. That's why when they talk about the jobs, it's completely ridiculous.
Golf Tango X-Ray, the more I listen to this clown, the more I'm wondering how much money the sources involved in data centers are paying him or how much advertising they're promising.
They're not. Data centers don't need to advertise, and they're not paying him anything. That's his opinion. He's a taxpayer. He has a right to an opinion. They're not paying him anything.
Captain Lucas, that may be a change from yesterday's I think somebody changed their name because of the captain thing yesterday. Lesson here is to not buy the Star. He does represent the Star. John Ruff.
Wait. Well, we got to get past people like I disagree with an opinion on a person who's an opinion. Like
but that's what the Star is opinion of these.
Well, but it does a lot of great. Look, the Star does a lot of really good straight reporting. We use their stuff all the time. If you want to disagree, it's like Capitol Chronicle. They've got an opinion section. Nikki Kelly writes opinion pieces. I disagree with
are her opinion pieces often wacky and
but I don't think his article was wacky. I mean, I think the thing about the farmers was wrong, but I don't think the premise of it to say we need these things, let's find a way to come up with policy that works around them.
Sure.
I don't think that's a wacky opinion. You may not. I support data center moratorium until we get the policy in place.
Well, I just think. I mean, he said just another. I think the Star certainly has that. If you ask 10 people, is the Star liberal, conservative, or in the middle? I think 9 out of 10 would say, well, they're liberal. I mean, they're not in the middle. They're not certainly not conservative.
But their reporting
so this doesn't help, in my opinion.
Well, but their reporting's not. I write for the Star. Anybody gonna say I'm a liberal? Well, a lot of people do.
Well, but you're not a daily columnist. You're not a daily reporter.
Jacob Stewart is the number 2 guy. He worked for the Republicans.
Come on, Doyle, I rest my case.
Well,
John Rust, this is ridiculous. Attacks on farmers trying to paint data centers as some fairy dust that will make life wonderful. You can't eat a data center.
The farmer thing was bad, and I knew when he said it, I was like, that's not going to go for
We'll
great.
move off the farmer thing. Now let's. MLM Warriors.
You got just a couple minutes.
Good job, Rob, on the interview.
Thank you.
We won't waste them on Rob compliments then.
Yeah, just
okay. Let's see. Here we go. Boom, boom.
We've got to be able to hear from people we don't agree with.
McLovins.
We've got to be able to have conversations.
Great interview, Rob. That's from McLovins. Wino Gina. I agree. I'm often amazed at Rob's ability to have a straight face in some of these interviews or not fall out of his chair.
The whole purpose of an interview is to let the guest. I ask good questions, let the guest talk, and I've always believed this. You guys are smart enough to come to your own conclusions,
Sure.
well thought through conclusions after you hear somebody talk. You don't need me.
Rob's no cheerleader. Christy Avery, he needs a Macho Man action figure on the table.
I had one. I sold it.
Okay, I'm going to bang through some of these here real quick. The RTV6 thing. Almond Joy Tempo. Rob, that giggle you let out when you were talking about getting an antenna for your TV reminded me of Tim Curry's Pennywise the Clown laugh.
Jeez.
Let's go back and check that out. Robert Schwartz, Wish just came up on Hulu a few months ago. Hadn't seen a Wish program in years before that. Steve Green with an E. I don't think I've watched ABC in 18 years. Vic Ferrari, the only ABC I do is bubblegum. Driver, antenna all the way. Christy Avery, I don't have cable, barely have streaming. Almond Joy Tempo, can you hook up an antenna to a wall-mounted TV? Please don't roll your eyes. Yes, you can. There's a little connection back there. You just plug it right in.
Yeah, it's a USB port, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not a USB, but yeah, it's just a little plug. It says antenna.
I have to remember it because I have to remember how mine's even hooked up. It's been so long.
Yeah. MLM Warriors, looking good, Abdul. Where did he go? I watch basic TV with antenna, use Fire TV for everything else. That's a new person. Where did he go? One.
Oh, that's the name of the person.
Yeah, it's the name of the person there. Sorry. Steve Green with an E. Depends on how far away you are from the broadcast. If you live in the donut area, a simple $20 pad on the window will work. All right. Okay. C. Mills, at Producer Jason, Fever play tonight. You going to be in the chat when the game's on? I will certainly make an appearance in the chat, probably fourth quarter, if I'm awake. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, Wino Gina. I like the name bars popping up under the people in the interviews. Can you leave them up longer? I'll try. Theller, it's Tom Heller. McCoy leading a charge for broadcast versus cable streaming data centers. Don't forget, broadcast can't spy on you. That is correct. RTV cannot spy on you. Your cable can, but RTV can't. Rusty B, hit that like button, people. Almond Joy Tempo, the Rob Kendall Show has it all. Rob, the smooth voice and witty banner of Producer Jason, and the smartest audience. All right. We'll leave it with Shrog Sandwich. Okay, I already said this earlier, but we'll say it again. A live painter from the YouTube chat will be there as well. That would be Shrog Sandwich at John Rust's party. And on the RTV thing, my opinion would be, it's free over the air. And if all the cable systems had a problem with it, with the cost, then that would be RTV's problem. But since like Xfinity and everybody else,
they may. We don't know when their deal's up.
Well, that's very true. But you can just go to a different provider or just get the antenna. I mean, hey, if a radio station or a bunch of radio stations wanted to pick us up but wanted to do it without paying us, or what we said the fee would be, that sort of thing, we'd say, well, no, you can't carry it, and people would be able to find us elsewhere. So that's kind of the way I look at it, but nobody usually cares how I look at it. So we will go to the points. Let's see what we have here. Oh, yeah, 49 chatters. Almost made it to 50. We go to the top 10. That would be Driver at 275. Well, actually, tied with the number 11. Spray Jockey also at 275. 335 on the XP points here for YouTube is what we're talking about. C. Mills, he's number 9. 350, Debbie Holcomb. 425, McLovins. 445, Kevin Branham. 475, Steve Green with an E. He was in 5th place. At fourth place, 750 points for Josh Richardson. 825 for MLM Warriors. 875 for Rusty B. And 1,025 points for Rock Laws at number 1.
Wow.
That'll do it for the chat. Brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. John McKinney. Give him a call, 765-315-7558. Third hour brought to you by John Rust. We love you both, Johns. We love everybody. And it's a big love fest. We'll see you tomorrow. So long, everybody.
All right, it's going to do it for us today. You guys have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow, Friday, 9 until noon. We'll talk to you tomorrow. For producer Jason, I'm Rob Kendall. You've been watching. You've been listening to Rob Kendall Show.